Just a couple of guys, a couple of microphones, and a heck of a lot of know. It's Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.
What they say, it's not the X's and the O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Football on the Know. I am Jim McPhee, alongside of me is Mr. Joe DeCapita.
What's going on, Odos? Welcome back for another edition of Football on the Know Show. We are locked and loaded, ready to go. Guess what? Playoffs are right around the corner. We are getting closer and closer to figuring out what is the chaos around the league of who's going to the playoffs or not. And not to mention, we had some big news happen this week. Some people laugh at it, but it's big news nonetheless. Baker Mayfield ends up getting asked for his release, gets cut from the Panthers, and who claims him? Not the Niners. They were slightly behind the Rams. The Rams put in a claim from now. He's being shipped. He flew right away to L.A., and it looks like it's a possibility that we might see Baker Mayfield start for the Rams tomorrow night.
You have failed this city.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? That team has failed the city, I think, altogether, too. That's the funny debacle about this whole situation, Joe. He was drafted by the Cleveland Browns, number one overall. Yeah, out of nowhere. Overnight, the news broke, and this happens, and then you get him, and he looked like he showed flashes of something going on here, but it ended up getting some coaches fired, too, and then different offenses in there. Goes to Carolina for a fresh start after it gets terrible there, and out of the gate doesn't look good over there too at all. He ended up losing He won one game and lost 5, so he was 1-5 as a starter there for Carolina. And a lot of players before, when they heard about the rumblings of the trade, they didn't want him over there. And so he didn't do well for that city over there. So now going to a Los Angeles Rams team who they're defending champions, Joe. Technically, they're defending champions, but right now they don't look anything like a championship caliber team. And how much, first of all, how much not having an offensive line, some of those guys that had moved on had really done to them, and not having a Von Miller on defense, and then even that effect of Odell Beckham Jr. on the other side of Cooper Kupp. What this team has really turned into. Matthew Stafford has been taking a hammering here, not so much he's so injured and stuff, not able to come back, but now even their backup quarterback's not able to probably return. They go and reach out. The waiver wire comes out, and Baker Mayfield falls to them. They pick him up, and what's the storyline moving forward for these guys? Do they go and get the Baker Mayfield just because, one, they have a shot to maybe do something in this division? They thinking that the 49ers might falter a little bit because they got Purdy there now. Or is it that Matthew Stafford, he's older now, again, injury prone. They can get Baker Mayfield still while he's still fairly young. He's, 4 years in the league, I think. Maybe they could see something that he can maybe run this offense. And because they don't have a pick really either, Joe. They've squandered all their picks to get trades, to get these players to make that run for that Super Bowl ring. So now you've got Baker Mayfield here. Do they want to hope that he can be their quarterback of the future and kind of do a reload without having those picks?
Wow, did you breathe at all?
I don't know.
It's a long rant.
I don't usually talk that often here. I think that's what it is. So I got going. But I mean, that's just a thought. Multiple things.
Well,
that
here's
might have
the thing,
been happening with this team.
Okay, so the reason why he gets moved on from Cleveland is because Deshaun Watson comes to town. Real simple. Gets another chance with Carolina. That was kind of like a mixed debacle there, though, because that was like a Matt Rule mistake. Matt Rule said, I want Sam Darnold. He got hurt, so now I need someone else next year. I need Baker Mayfield. They bring him in. They had P.J. Walker. This has been like a big mess in Carolina, trying to figure out who could be their quarterback. The answer was Sam Darnold. If he managed to stay healthy, he was doing very well with them, and we saw that recently with the Panthers getting them a win last week. So now Baker finds himself in a situation where he realizes, whether it's with Steve Wilks as the head coach, and maybe he realizes something to the point where he's like, you know what? I'm not going to get another starting opportunity here. I can see this right now. They They basically PJ Walker's been starting over me, and now Sam Darnold comes back off of IR, and now he's starting over PJ Walker. So where does that put me? I want a chance to start somewhere. So he asked for his release. They honor that, and now he got claimed by the Rams. This type of claim, though, is interesting because this team is not really going anywhere right now. It's a changed roster. There's been a lot of changeover from one season to the next for them. You got to remember, Von Miller was a huge defensive presence for that team last year, along obviously with Aaron Donald, and you had Ramsey, and you had John Johnson III, who was part of that safety net for them on the back end of the defense. They lost some players just like any other team does, but there were some key players on that side of the ball, defensively especially, that they lost. And then when you go on the offensive side, you look at the left tackle. Andrew Whitworth announced his retirement, not coming back. That's a huge empty void to fill, and they still don't have that right. I know Jamie, I think his first name's Jamie Noteboom, who was going to take over that left tackle job. He was doing a great job early on, and then he's done for the year. So it's like injuries compiled with personnel changes. You look at Allen Robinson coming over, trying to fill the role that Odell once held, and Robert Woods. Robert Woods ends up leaving the free agency. Robinson, who knows where he is because, he got hurt and out for the year as well recently this season. However, he was nowhere to be found on the football field. Like, they weren't even throwing to him. They weren't utilizing him in this offense very well. So there was a lot of changes, but at the same time, there's some bad calls being made defensively and offensively that's really not helping this team as a whole. Now, here comes Baker. So what do you expect to do with Baker in 2 days? 2 days. He flies over there. He's trying to learn as much of the playbook as he possibly can. But in 2 days, what can you really grasp before tomorrow night's game?
Yeah, we've got Chris Simpson in the house with us tonight. He says, tell the Rams to call me. I'll take the vet minimum right now. So there you go.
There you have it.
Yeah, Chris Simpson, why not? It's got to be better than Baker Mayfield at this point, too, so.
Right?
Right?
You're right.
Because, again, he hasn't done anything really either, too. He's shown that he can't do it. And, what are you going to do with the way the team is now? I mean, Matthew Stafford, he's not very mobile, but neither is really Baker Mayfield either.
Baker can run.
But I'm just saying, even with that the depleted offensive line, the weapons still that aren't even exactly there, he's probably going to go to, his tight end, I guess, more than
Here's what I'll
anything
say about this situation, and this is all I pretty much need to say, is what's the record? 3-9. Mm-hmm. Your season is done. It's done because you have a few more games left of the season, and something tells me that you're going to have at least one more, maybe two more losses before we see the end of the season. So you're done and out of the playoffs. This claim to bring Baker in on a $1 million salary, like they're not paying him nothing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like for Sean McVay, maybe it's just a glimpse of what maybe he could possibly do in their offense. And at the very least, if he likes what he sees, maybe they could entice him to stay and fight it out next offseason with him and Stafford.
Yeah, because that's what you're banking on. Again, it's very high risk, low risk, high reward. Because again, you only get the $1 million there. You can sign him to a longer deal if you feel comfortable with that. Even as a backup right now at this point, that's probably fine. It's better than what you have in your quarterback room right now. So,
and that's the thing. It's a duct tape job, but we've heard all the reports. Stafford isn't done for the year, but technically they're saying he could come back week 17 right before playoffs. But what good is that going to do?
Yeah.
If you're 3-9,
yeah, you should just shut it down at this point.
More than likely, they're not making the playoffs. It's just not going to happen for me. Like when you look at this division right now, you have the Niners who are easily. Well, I shouldn't say easily because Seattle's right behind them. The Niners right now are 8-4. Seattle Seahawks are 7-5 behind them, and behind them there's a little bit of a gap. Then you got the Cardinals at 4-8, just a game ahead of the Rams. So that being said, and with how the NFC has been, it's such a weak competitive conference at this point. The whole NFC East looks like they might be making it into the playoffs as of right now. You know
As
what
of
I
right
mean?
now, we'll see though.
But a lot can change. But when you look at it, it's like, okay, you look at the NFC North right now. Vikings, they're going to win that division. Okay, 10-2. But behind them, you got the Lions that are turning up the heat just in the nick of time. They're 5-7. If they can win this week, that puts them at 6-7. Another game behind 500. Like, a lot could change for the Lions. You never know. The Lions could play themselves into a wild card berth. And then when you look at the Packers, they've kind of been up and down all season long, mostly down. But they look like they're on the outside looking in as of this moment. And then you look at the NFC South. The NFC South, man, Jesus. Your Buccaneers, who are the division leading team right now, are 6-6. That's just bad.
Yeah, I know. Somebody has to come out of that division. That's almost like what we used to talk about with the NFC East and stuff. Somebody that's a losing record. And that's the funny thing about having the 18th week now too, is that you can no longer be 500. It's funny, I still catch people saying, you're like, oh man, maybe will they be able to be above 500 or be 500?
You're going to be above or below.
You have to be below or you have to be above. There is no 500
there's
anymore.
no in between.
I know you're used to saying that, but there is none anymore. So somebody has to do something there. But let me tell you that something that is above 500, that's more like 100%. Our friends at Colorize, boom, there you go. The logo just popped up because they knew I was thinking about it. Talked to my man Link the other day. Man, I love that guy. I wish him the best even too for this holiday season coming up. Opened up their fourth store there in North Greenbush, right near Troy, near Hudson Valley and all that stuff there. Also, you can still check them out at Niskayuna and Clifton Park and Queensbury too. So they're all around the upper region, capital region here. And they not only are a Benjamin Moore dealer, but as an independent dealership that they can specialize in anything paint related, Sherwin-Williams, whatever you want for the paint professional or the do-it-yourselfer out there. They have the experience, the know-how, and they'll do whatever it takes to get you what you need to finish that project. So
custom paint,
yeah.
advice. I mean, they do a phenomenal job. Like let's just take you for example. Like you're getting ready to move out of your house here, and some final preparations need to take place. Some final projects. You got to chip some paint off and everything. And you were asking them about temperature, like what kind of paint should I use because the temperature around here is getting colder. So is there a certain paint that I have to use in order for it to not like crack and break off or
absolutely? Like, what's the lowest temperature of 40 degrees? And let me tell you, some of those nights I was cutting it close. He's laughing at me. He's like, man, I'm giving you this paint, but you're crazy, dude. I'm like, yeah, I know. But we got it done. And that's what I mean. Colorize, check them out, mycolorize.com or any one of those lovely locations here in upstate New York.
That's it.
So the Baker Mayfield saga continues.
What can Baker do tomorrow?
What can he do now? For me, it's almost like call it quits and you do some more funny commercials because I think you're better at that doing the acting, than you are on the field. I wish you were just a better at portraying and acting as an NFL quarterback, out there instead of
be great in football movies.
But it's just funny how far he's gone too with those endorsements and stuff, the fact that they made Cleveland his house and he's going around and insuring the house and he's going to try and clean it up, and now he can't even find a home. He's traveling all over the place. He's back now. He's going to L.A. For the Rams, where they're a debacle, and what a mess that team is, but. Again, it's a good claim for them because, they're looking to maybe hit the reset button next year with Stafford or whatever they're going to do. But why not take a shot to see what they got there?
Honestly, it's a shot in the dark right now. As of right now, unless a miracle happens, they're not making the playoffs. And for Baker, it's yet another opportunity. And it's an offense that's kind of similar what he likes to use. So for Sean McVay, for Baker Mayfield, it's a feeling out process, to see if they can have a relationship and go moving forward. But yeah, I think it's a last ditch effort to try to save what they can of the season, and some teams might be like, looks like we're going to be out of the playoffs. We're not going to do anything extra. We're just going to ride it out, finish it up, and see where we get our draft pick. So some teams do that, and they're like, we're not going to put any effort into something that's broken. Right. So but the Rams look like they're still trying to make something happen.
Right. And he, by the way, this season again, not looking very good. He's at 57.8%. only 1,300 yards, and he has 6 touchdowns, 6 INTs for a rate of 74.4. So that's what you're getting out of Baker Mayfield this year. So hopefully he can turn around. Hey, you talk about the different coaches that he had. If you can't do it under Sean McVay, I guess, again, a lot of people think he's a coaching guru, then what else is going to fix Baker Mayfield at this point, right?
I mean, honestly, it's different for quarterbacks because everybody will say, oh, well, this guy's a really good offensive coordinator. So if this quarterback can't thrive in that system, then they're no good. I think it depends on the quarterback. It really depends on what do they thrive in. You can't force somebody to learn Chinese because you think that, you need them to go overseas and talk for you in a conference. And if they can't get that down, then you're fighting yourself. It doesn't make much sense to do that. So it's like for some quarterbacks, they might thrive in a run style offense rather than a high passing offense. So it's like it depends on the quarterback too. For Baker's more of a gunslinger. He's a guy that he does not shy away from those tight windows or does not shy away from challenging the DBs out there. So if you have a guy like that, it's tough because you got to keep him, you got to help him stay out of harm's way. You know what I mean? Like you got to give him high percentage throws. You got to let him kind of feel it out instead of like always having to try to challenge the defense, because that's probably what's been happening to Baker Mayfield when we see him at his worst. He's always he's trying to thread the needle, or he's making a bad decision because the coverage is too good, but he still throws it there anyway because he's like, I can beat him. It doesn't happen that way for him. So it's like it makes you wonder now with this another change, another different offensive philosophy, another different coaching staff. What can they do to help Baker Mayfield progress and make him better as a quarterback?
Absolutely. And, we're talking about when we were saying something about Sean McVay and the quarterback situation with your coach, and you said sometimes it doesn't make a difference. It makes me think of Jared Goff now, too. Look at him in a different location. He was written off. He wanted to go get Matthew Stafford because Jared Goff wasn't the guy or something. And even when he was there, it seemed like they always wanted to overlook him and say, well, Sean McVay, was that Sean's idea, or was that really you deciding to do that? It's like kind of like that's got to be offensive to me as a quarterback. I'm like, no, really? I'm the one that's controlling the offense right now, making decisions out here. It's not like he's throwing the ball for me. But you see what he's doing now in another year with more talent. The defense is coming around in a second year in the same system here for them. And he's probably playing as good as he did before with the Rams with, questionably less talent, but really good talent even right now at this point. And look what the Lions are doing. And you said that maybe they even have a shot to do something.
They definitely do.
In the last couple of weeks, they play each of their divisional opponents too. So they play the Vikings this week, and then in a couple of weeks they will be playing the Bears, and then the final week they play the Packers. So that could be
huge games.
Huge game, especially with the Packers if they keep trying to win or stay with these guys. They're tied with them right now, so if they can sway that and get that extra win on them and leapfrog over them and still be tight in that division and get another 3 wins, 8 and 9 might be okay even with this NFC the way it is going right now. Who knows the way it's swaying? If the NFC East is the group that's in it right now, the Giants and the Commanders got to play each other again. Unfortunately they tied this week and stuff, but maybe in that game we will see a real standout outcome in this one. And if they tie again, that's going to be brutal. So what do you do then? But yeah, I mean, they're making a good run, and then a quarterback getting a new change of scenery, but just shows you can be a good just starting quarterback.
Efficient.
You don't have to be that franchise labeled
Elite
guy.
Type of style quarterback. Like you just have to be efficient.
Right.
I mean,
and look what they do there. They run it with multiple guys, and they have good, wide receiver talent. Not stupendous, but good talent.
No, they got good up-and-coming talent because you got to think Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like that guy is a very, very good receiver. He's really starting to kind of where defensive coordinators, when they game plan for the Lions, they are looking at him as the weapon. You know what I mean? They have to keep their eyes on him at all times, where he is on the football field, what's he doing? You know what I mean? Because he is a big weapon for them. Also, they have a young rookie who has still yet to play. He's eligible. He was active last week, had one pass attempted, but there was no completion. Like it to me, like when you have a player like that coming in as a rookie or something like that, that you want to get him on the football field for two reasons. One, you got to get him experience. You got to get him used to the speed of the game. You know what I mean? The terminology of the plays coming in and maybe even some of the audibles or checks that they have to do at the line of scrimmage. But also, you want to see how productive he could be in his first year. You want to get some return on your investment from the draft. So Jameson Williams still hasn't been able to be like much of a factor at all. But I'm hoping that this week they kind of get him in the action a little bit more often than just, a couple plays. Let's get him in there for, 30 snaps and see, what he can do. So for the Lions, you're right. They're close. They're competitive. They're definitely right there. And especially being in the NFC, they have a legitimate shot of making a wild card.
Yeah, definitely with the way that conference is going. But again, I'm impressed with Jared Goff, what he's been doing. Best season, I think, since 2017. Again, last week, I think he had a 75% completion percentage even too. So he's at 3,800 yards. So he can on his way to going to 4,000 yards already. So, I mean, moving along. I was really surprised. Even I thought I picked Detroit in that last game here against Jacksonville. Also, you did, by the way. Congratulations on your great week. Almost got the whole undefeated sweep there, winning every single game except for that Monday night game
the Saints
with the
let
Bucs.
me
But
down.
we'll get back to that game in a little bit. But the Detroit Lions, facing a Jaguars team who just edged out the Baltimore Ravens.
Go figure. Go figure.
We'll say, with Hundley, there for the most part, whatever. But still, getting it done. That was last week, sorry. But Detroit really putting a shellacking. They stomped their throats in. And it was funny because when I talked about this game and the Philadelphia game, I said at first, I'm like, these are almost kind of like standout games because former players playing against their old teams, maybe they want to make a statement or something like that. And these two games were kind of like that. They were statement games. I mean, Philadelphia allowed Tennessee to kind of get back in a little bit, but they were pretty much statements here. And you saw the way it was with AJ Brown getting his deal right away too. So, but Detroit getting it done here, 40 points against the Jaguars.
I mean, in this league, I don't care who you play, but when you put up 40 points, that's saying something. I don't care if you're playing the so-called worst team in the league or something like that. But when you put up 40 points in this league, it is so tough to score points. It really is. I don't care who you play. They're all professional athletes. They might not be as good as the other team that they're playing against, but they're all there to compete. They're all there to show out. And when you can put that kind of number on there, I mean, you look at the Cowboys. And one that was the worst prime time game you could have on there.
Try and flex that
and
quick,
two, you had the Cowboys playing the Colts. And what else would you expect? I expected a blowout.
Yeah.
I did. And I will say this: the Colts early on in that game, it looked like maybe the Colts could be competitive. Didn't last very long, and then the Cowboys just kind of ran away with that. So I mean. 33 points in the fourth quarter. In one quarter, you allowed the Cowboys to score 33 points? Oh, boy.
Oh, I know. And what do you think, sidebar onto that game, what do you think about the disciplinary action to Zeke Elliott? And there's been mixed rumors about it. Mike McCarthy just blew it off or whatever.
For sure.
But Jerry Jones the thing is, you want to know something, you just ask Jerry Jones. He is straight up honest with you. Whatever he says, maybe it's just, I don't know, he's been kind of like that, I guess. But now that he's older, he's got that old man honesty. He'll just put it out there. He's like, I don't know a whole lot about it, but if you are tardy to practice or tardy to meetings, then you're using your cell phone during meetings and stuff. It's constantly going off. There might be actions for that. He goes, I wouldn't exactly do that and punish somebody, but you might get punished for doing something like that. It's so you're saying that he was on his phone nonstop, and he was late for meetings. Okay, so then he got punished for that. But he did play a little bit in that game, but that's why you didn't see him at first to get that start. So, I mean, maybe does this show even a little bit that maybe in Mike McCarthy or this franchise, seeing the way they love Tony Pollard, especially this year, in the way he's been really getting his workhorse load going, that they are kind of swaying towards the tail end of a Zeke, and maybe, it sucks they would have, if they were thinking about moving on, they would have done it already before week 8. But
they should have did it before they
re-signed him. But yeah, then now maybe he's on the naughty list.
But that's the thing, is Zeke. That's a lot of contract. I mean, I don't know if there's some kind of triggers in the contract that they can get out of it or what have you. But we kind of called this early on. We said before the Zeke contract, started to really kick in, and Tony Pollard kind of sitting and waiting in the wings, hoping he gets his opportunity. We've kind of seen flashes of Tony Pollard showing out in limited fashion and ends up creating some spark in that offense, creating some big time plays for whether it be a first down or a hard nosed run that he created or whatever. That right there, those little highlights that he had in a limited, vision of view there, that right there kind of showed you something in him. You can kind of tell in football players sometimes where when they get on the field and they execute and they play how they have to play, and they show you something out there, you're like, wait, this kid might be something. I don't know if it's going to be soon, but he's going to explode at some point and become a juggernaut of a player. We saw that from Pollard early on. The Cowboys, it just kind of took them a couple years later to realize what they had waiting behind Zeke. But then Zeke gets that big contract, and now you're starting to see the tides turn a little bit in Dallas. You're seeing a lot more Pollard now. You're seeing them. They're doing their best to kind of divvy up the carries or touches, like 50-50 or 60-40 sometimes. But we're seeing a hell of a lot more of Pollard, who's having way more success with the ball in his hands than Zeke is. And that's just what it is. It's what it's been. And for the Cowboys, good luck. That's all I have to say is good luck, because Pollard is going to look for this. He's going to look for that money. And may the highest bidder win, because we've seen how good of a player he is with the ball in his hands, and every other team is seeing it right now to this point, that free agency is going to come up, and he's going somewhere. Because I'm not really sure if Dallas can, get out of this Zeke contract and then go ahead and turn around and sign him, because they don't really have a ton of cap space. So it looks like even if you franchise tag the guy, kind of handcuffing yourself for a year,
right?
Is it really worth it? So unless you can lock him in long term, I say you got to move on.
Yeah. And then when you talk about money too, and the big talk right now is the Odell Beckham Jr. situation again, and he's narrowed it down basically to the Giants and the Cowboys, it looks like. So again, I think you've been a proponent of him going to the New York Giants, but you got to look at this Cowboy team too and said that's got to be really exciting and a good option too, just because again, if you look at the NFC, the rest of the NFC right now, who's really gonna, you got to go through Philly, I guess, at this point, right? Because then,
for sure.
Besides that, you're
definitely
looking at what the Vikings, but they've looked vulnerable at times, and they've been in close, edged out games against teams that aren't as good, I guess, talent wise.
But isn't that why we play the game?
I mean, because that's
what playoffs are.
Mm-hmm.
Playoffs is a completely different season. Some people out there might not view it that way, but it really is. It's a whole different atmosphere. It's a whole different feeling as a player to get on the football field. Now it's sudden death. It's do or die. There is no next week. We got to get it done now. So it's a whole different mentality for them. So when playoffs games come, both teams will not only be ready, they're going to give it everything they got on the field.
Absolutely. And you talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They had them week 1, and they weren't able to beat them again. But now if they're able to face Tampa Bay in the playoffs right now, that looks like a really good matchup for them right now.
For sure,
the way Tampa Bay is with the injuries and the way they're playing, right now. So, but again, Odell Beckham Jr. there looks good. The nice weather too. He wants somewhere to stay. They obviously want him there to make a run at the Super Bowl, but he's looking for a long-term deal. A few years.
3 years.
So,
That's
But
the target.
to be comfortable with the Giants now, what's the incentive for him to go there? Again, yes, maybe comfort. He's been to New York before. He's been the guy. He would absolutely be the guy, for them because they have nobody else at this
That's where
point.
he started his career.
And they really need him. And that's a point that, they would really have to emphasize is like this would be the major part of the offense. Like that's that weapon that Daniel Jones has been looking for forever, much like when Eli had nobody else.
Right.
And it was funny on the broadcast on Monday night the other night when he was talking to Randy Moss, and Randy Moss goes up, and Eli's like, I wish I had Randy Moss a couple of those years. He goes like this. I'm like, I can't believe you just said that right out there. Of course. Like, yeah, of course you would. Everybody would want Randy Moss, but I know what years he was talking about though in that one. But yeah, what's the incentive for Odell to really go to New York? The weather's not that great. They're not in a win now mode, but maybe potentially next year on a reset would maybe get some of this cap space cleared up with some of these other guys that still are part of the old regime.
Here's
and
the
then
deal.
get some other weapons or maybe more protection.
The deal
on the
with
line.
the Giants right now is it turned into a win now.
Mm-hmm.
Before the season, nobody thought, Giants fans included, I know you felt the same way, didn't expect too much from this team. New coaching staff, new players kind of coming in and out, and it didn't look like, okay, we're going to make a run now. No, it usually doesn't spell the recipe isn't for success here, is when you have a new coaching staff, a lot of turnover on the roster and that type of thing. But they proved a lot of people wrong. They proved a lot of doubters wrong in this team. And here they are in the NFC, which is, one, a weak conference, but two, they're in the toughest division out of all the conferences. This is the most competitive division in the NFC conference. That is the NFC East. So the Giants are right there. They're 7-4-1 right now. They are right now in playoff contention. So it's turned into let's win now. Why wait? Why? Let's see how far we can take this thing. And that's when you look at Odell, who he's stated he's had great visits everywhere he's been. Every visit was good. And then everybody kind of wants to make a big deal about in Dallas. He went to a basketball game at night with Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs. And I don't really look at that. That's nothing. That's just the guys going out, having a good time, hoping that Odell chooses them.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do. You see it all the time with recruiting.
But yeah, but the thing is for Odell, we've heard that he's going back home. He's already had his visits. He's going back home. He's going to talk with his family about the decision because he knows too that this is it. After this decision, I'm going to pretty much be done playing football, hopefully, depending on the contract structure. We all know his targeted years. He says that he has at least 3 to 4 years left in him. But in those so-called 3 to 4 years left in you, how many of them are you going to be completely healthy for a whole season? Because you've been back and forth, torn ACL here, there, everywhere, out for the year more times than not. So his healthiest he ever was with the Giants, where he was younger. Now you're older. Now you're 30 years old, 31, something like that. Now your body doesn't react well to injuries that way. You know what I mean? It takes longer to heal up. And when we talk about that, that's another indicator too, is Odell himself said that he's not going to be ready, 100% ready to play until 5 weeks. That's playoffs. So he'll be ready for playoffs, it sounds like, but not much sooner before that. So any team that does sign him, be careful. Because you might get him like the Rams did. The Rams had to sign a 1-year deal. In the playoffs is where he got hurt.
Right.
Yet again and done. So you got to be careful with a receiver who is aging like this, who's had numerous injuries over and over. Don't get me wrong. When he's 100%, he's electric. He's a really, really good wide receiver to have on your side. And everybody would like that. But for me, if he really is down to just the Giants and Cowboys, he's got to look at it long term then. He's got to look at it for 3 to 4 years. Like, okay, where do I fit in? Like, if I go to Dallas, and I'm just kind of spitballing here, if Odell goes to Dallas, if I'm Odell and I'm like, you know what, I like the star, I like the big stadium, I like the roster, I like Dak Prescott as my quarterback, I think I might go there. But then, how often are you going to be the man? Are you doing this for, like, are they gonna even be able to offer you more money? Because when we look at the cap space right now, mind you, Cowboys have somewhere around $6 million under the cap. The Giants have less. They got like $2 and change $1 million under the cap. So I'm kind of curious to see, is it going to be for more money and not so much a career move, or is it going to be, I think I fit, or I can go to New York where there's really no threat on that team. I could be that guy. Once again, I could be the go-to guy who's going to get the ball a ton, and I can help that team overcome a lot of, maybe I can help them overcome Dallas and overcome maybe the Eagles when if we play them.
Yeah.
So it's like that to me. And then when you look beyond, look at what the Giants are right now. We didn't expect them to even be in the playoffs, but they are hard-nosed. They're playing to their attributes. And if you add Odell to that team, just saying, who knows? Maybe that puts them over the hump a little bit, you know what I mean? Maybe enough to where they can compete with all these divisional East teams.
And like you said, even too, this year it seems right for the Cowboys because it's $6 million that they have. Giants only at $2 million roughly.
Right.
But then, like he said, he wanted a few years.
Yep.
So
It's going to be multi-year.
fast forward to next year, Giants are third most money. They have space right there. They are there with 50,
So it would be
$59 million
right
cap space.
So when you look at that, number,
yeah.
that tracks well for the Giants.
Absolutely.
And
'Cause
what's
the Cowboys,
Dallas? What's Dallas at?
$8 million
Next year?
next year.
Oh, so they don't have much to spend.
No.
We already know that they've been
Exactly.
spending a lot of amount of money out there.
Yeah. And it's
So-
catching up now.
Giants they're set. So like they could
And
just
it
like
says the effective cap space that they are in the red, 276,000. I don't know what
What's that?
effective cap space it means. I don't know if that means like
is it dead
money.
cap or
No,
salary?
it just says effective cap space.
No.
So I don't know what the dead money is.
That doesn't really
$8 million
matter.
again, but that says other stuff. But yeah, I mean it's a better long term thing. Like
So
you said,
for
if you
me-
want multiple years for a little more.
Right. And that's the thing is where can you make, and I understand Odell is looking for a couple different things. Like you mentioned the weather, you know what I mean?
Right.
He wants to make his final destination his home. Like he doesn't want to move anymore. He wants to be done with all that. And do you return back to New York where it all started, where they desperately need a wide receiver to throw the ball to? Or do you go where it's nicer weather down south in Dallas? You get Dak Prescott and the surrounding cast that is CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. You know what I mean? But when you go with Dallas, they got a lot of talent. Are you really going to be that much of an impact player? Are you looking to be that guy again? Or are you just willing to sit in the shadows a little bit, have your flash in the pan moments every once in a while, and just kind of ride the coattails of the Cowboys?
Yeah, because even right now they're still riding on the base salary with CeeDee Lamb's base salary being only $610,000 right now for them.
Yeah, rookie
and,
contract. Yeah.
Micah Parsons, same deal. So to keep that nucleus of guys together, because
It's
you
not gonna
got
happen.
you know what I'm saying? Your DeMarcus Lawrence, all those other guys are already paid in this
Jesus,
stuff.
yeah.
So to try and keep that group together, it's going to be a lot harder unless those guys start taking cuts and things like that, or they just don't
That's
use
why
them
I think
anymore, get rid of them.
financially the Giants are in obviously a way better situation where they can easily, and I mean easily, afford to sign Odell for 3 to 4 years or however long he wants to play. And he's not only going to get paid, but he also he's the guy. It's going to be Odell and Sterling Shepard next year. You know what I mean? And then whoever, maybe they draft a receiver. You know what I mean? Like that's nice to start with next year. And Odell in the very limited amount of time that he is going to be able to play, maybe. I don't know how far can the Giants take it.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see. Everybody's following this story, every day, every week, so we'll see what happens.
We're just
and we'll see when he
waiting
makes
to
his
make a
decision.
decision, Odell.
Make a decision
But,
in
here-
2022.
I mean,
Odell.
but here's the thing. I mean, realistically, Odell wasn't going to come back this year and be one of the help a team to go all the way in the playoffs, and who knows how far they're going to go. We already knew that Odell wasn't going to even be coming back until the end of the season, as it is. So I know a lot of people, me included, I was kind of excited to see, like, maybe he comes back halfway through the year. Maybe he comes back in November. Like, But none of that, we know that now, none of that's happening. It was always a long-term goal of his to sign somewhere later and maybe help a team get, push into the playoffs.
All right, yeah, let's switch gears here. Well, before we do that, why don't, after you take your drink here, why don't you tell everybody about our friends that are number one team with us, too, and everybody out here in the local region at Mohawk Honda.
Oh, our buddies at Mohawk Honda. Yeah, I mean, those people are great, first of all. The dealership, A+. I mean, these guys, their staff are professionals. They help you out. They'll give you the best advice. Listen, you can also, I know this is news to everybody, but you can get the highest value for your car in a trade-in. And if you want to just cash your car in, they buy cars. Yeah. They're looking to buy your car. You know what I mean? And you can 9 times out of 10, you get more value than you thought you were going to get for it. So they're going to really help you out. They're going to help you put yourself into a brand new vehicle. The inventory's flowing in for new ridge lines and pilots. Anything that you need for the winter months that are right around the corner, right up here in the Albany area. And not to mention, they got Greg Jennings, great guy. He's one of the head honchos over there at Mohawk Honda. He'll help you as well as anybody else on the floor. They'll help you put you in a vehicle and ask them anything. They're there to help you guys out there. It's a great process. It's easy to get through. They make it so simple. Mm-hmm. And go check them out. You know
absolutely.
what I mean?
Where they go out of their way to please you. And you know what? It could be not even a holiday, but they're always doing something for the community as well. Something, a charity going on, stuff like that. So pleased to be partnered with Mohawk Honda. Definitely. Absolutely. All right. So Joe, I wanted to switch gears and get into the another team that's like on the fringe of the playoffs, or seemed like it had control of their destiny and their division. And that's the San Francisco 49ers, the team that just fell short of claiming Baker Mayfield after having Jimmy Garoppolo go down with a foot injury. It sounded like it might have been a broken foot,
it might have been career-ending, but now
it seems like it's not. And he said it brought up that there's a possibility that he could come back and play
7 to 8 weeks.
When Kyle Shanahan was brought up, he goes, well, we'll see. We'll take it as it goes to see if he will be or not. So right now. They're riding with Purdy.
Yeah, Purdy, young stud. Listen, Mr. Irrelevant. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is that about Purdy is that he's the first Mr. Irrelevant quarterback to start a football game. So that's a hurdle in itself, but they saw something in him. And I feel like a lot of teams do this. One team will say, hey, you know what? If this guy is here, we're going to take him because we see something in him. And all teams do this. Some teams overlook guys, and other teams are like, nope, we want him. And Purdy was one of those guys for the 49ers. And Kyle Shanahan, he saw something. He saw athletic ability in this kid. He has mobility. He has an accurate arm. He makes good football decisions. He doesn't have the strongest arm, but you don't have to. As long as you got those traits. Very smart with the football, protects it well, mobile, and he can get it out with pinpoint accuracy. So Purdy, right now, who's not so much of a household name, but people are starting to hear it now. Wait and see what this kid can do. I mean, this is going to be huge for him, and not only his development as a young quarterback, but also maybe he can carve out a little niche here. Maybe we could have a quarterback competition brewing next season, right? Purdy and Trey Lance.
Yeah, possibility. We'll see, but that's the thing. That's the question here for this guy and the 49ers now. Because, again, a lot of people, I think once you see Garoppolo go down, they saw what the season looked like with Trey Lance and wasn't looking so good. Once Garoppolo went in, it's just like, boom, the season kind of turned around.
Well, it's because of injury.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, because here's the thing is I've heard – I'm sorry, but –
Sure, no, that's fine.
I've heard some other 49er fans kind of like say, hey, well, they're first of all, they're pissed off at Trey Lance. They can't stand him. They're like, he's not the guy. He makes mistakes and the poor decision making, and he turns the ball over sometimes. And we're not all on board with him. We want him out. They want to ship him out. They want to be done with him. You got to remember too, he is still learning. He is still trying to develop into a starting caliber quarterback. So you do got to be, you got to have some patience with him. And I know it's easy to say, but. Trey Lance, where he is now, maybe 3 years later down the road, he'll be so much better and you won't be saying this. But I know they want him out. They want Jimmy G to stay. And there are some rumors that are saying that the 49ers are open to maybe bringing Jimmy G back next year. But Jimmy G himself said it has to be under the right circumstance. Now, read into that what you will. For me, it's like, I got to start.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting behind Trey Lance.
Again, I already gave
I
you
can
that
still
luxury
play
this year.
So, and I know a lot of Niner fans out there would be more than welcoming that to happen. But here's the kicker. When you take a quarterback 3rd overall in the draft, you're handcuffed to him. Kyle Shanahan, this is gonna determine whether Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch in the front office, whether they keep their jobs or not. Because you guys wanted him that badly. You took him 3rd overall. Now you have to prove to the brass, the San Francisco brass, that there was a reason why you took him 3rd overall and that he is the future. Because if they can't prove that, they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. So I know the feel-good story would be to keep Jimmy G and we can still win with him and have Trey. I don't think that can happen. And with Purdy now in the fold, this kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. Is now you're going to have another quarterback possibly that could possibly develop as well of being maybe a future quarterback for a team.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the question now is basically posing out there because you see that they're at the top of the division now, but if you got the Seattle Seahawks that are still there, even though too, and playing fairly well with Geno
7-5.
So they're still looking to hang there. So the thing is, this team is going to have to rely on their defense even more now. They were kind of before, built strong defense here, Nick Bosa there, everybody, and just play smart on offense, run the ball, be efficient, no turnovers. Jimmy G, just get it done to those multiple weapons that you have. I mean, we've listed them a billion times. To be able to have the weapons that you have is amazing. But that's what's kind of going to help this guy, though, too. I mean, with Purdy there. When you've got a George Kittle, when you've got a Deebo Samuel, things like that, to addition to these guys.
Christian
that should
McCaffrey.
Be able to help. Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's like an all-star team. And they've been supportive of the guy, too, so that's always good, too. So how far can he get them in, because, again, just a week before, I think the talk out there, everybody was saying, too, is that maybe this was the team to challenge the Philadelphia Eagles or be there in the mix with the Cowboys and things and the Vikings. This is the other upper echelon team to make a run for the Super Bowl. And now you've got this injury and you've got this rookie quarterback. Yes, we've seen it before with Tom Brady and the Patriots being able to go there and make it and win a Super Bowl. But this is a little skittish, I think, for some of these 49ers fans, and it'll be interesting to see how they can handle the rest of the season. I haven't looked ahead, but again, I know at least this week what they've got the Buccaneers, which that's a winnable team. You know what I mean? We saw last week the Bucs looked like a shell of the form. So what you were talking about the Rams and how bad they looked this year. Bucs are in the same conversation.
Oh, my God.
They were, trying to make a push last year to get to the Super Bowl again and looked not as good. But then this year, absolutely putrid. And it is on all phases, and even all players even too at that point. Mike Evans hasn't looked the best at times, but Tom Brady, he hasn't lost it. He's lost a bit, okay?
He's not as accurate anymore as he once
not
was.
anymore. He's just losing those accuracy. He sees the vision. Like I said, I would take his brain any day right now of what he's got because he's seeing the things, but he can't effectively get the ball there.
I would say short to intermediate, he's still got the accuracy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But his problem has always been deep. Throwing the ball deep, how accurate he can be. He used to be a lot more accurate than we're seeing now, though. He overthrew Julio Jones, I believe, twice deep and overthrew Mike Evans once. And they were all
two opposites, even sides of them, because not even the overthrow. It was to the leftover side when Julio was streaking on a seam route up the middle, and he throws it back behind him and overthrown. So it's like Julio had to over adjust, and it was. Yeah, he had them.
That's the thing is that they were all open all the time. So you got to hit those when they're open, or at least come close enough to give them a shot to make a play.
Yeah, but I mean, the 49ers, again, they got to face a team like that, which that's a winnable one. But again, week to week, but with this division, again, the Cardinals not looking very good, and the Rams being where they are with Baker Mayfield, that's safe for them. But you got to watch out for that Seattle Seahawks team.
I mean, for the 49ers, though, I'm not really worried about them. Like, I understand Purdy is new to starting and all that, and he did a fairly good job, in limited fashion. But you got to also remember this: that defense was not preparing to face him. That defense was preparing to face Jimmy G. So when you throw in a wrench like that into an offense, and it's like, oh, it's a completely different quarterback. We don't know how he plays. We don't have game film on him. We don't know what his tendencies are. We don't know what his weaknesses are or strengths. So he kind of had them on the heels just because he's different. And for the Niners this week is going to be more evident to see his progression. Can he remain as solid as he was in limited fashion now that, despite the Buccaneers defense only having not much game tape to go on, but they got at least something. You know what I mean? So maybe they're going to try to maybe kind of confuse him, cerebrally and kind of change up looks and that sort of thing on defense and see how he responds. And you're going to see a lot of that throughout the game to see if he's focused and all in or if they can find a weakness there. So for Purdy and the Niners, I'm not worried about him right now. We got to see how he acclimates to playing every week now with this offense. Great offense. Now he's got some great weapons there. We know that. But defensively, that's their backbone. So their defense keeps them in a lot of games. And they have some amazing playmakers on that side of the ball. So I'm not really worried about them right now. I want to see how they play this week and then maybe the following week to try to get a good sense of how this offense is going to run. Is it going to run the same way with Jimmy G? Is it going to run more like with Trey Lance was in there? You know what I mean? Where they're going to go heavy run and RPOs and stuff like that. Or are they going to keep it kind of like where Jimmy G was, kind of balanced? They're still going to run the ball. They're going to throw the ball here and there to move the chains. And we'll see. We'll see where they end up.
Yeah, and bringing it back to the Buccaneers, I mean, the way they've been playing has been really poor. And that Monday night game, just not looking good at all throughout the whole game, 98% of the game. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, oh, man, Joe's going to have the clean sweep here again on this whole week. And then 3 minutes or so is left in the game, and the Saints handed it away. And the decision-making here and we talk about game management all the time. Certain players, certain coaches, Nathaniel Hackett, again, poor game management. Multiple different guys, Arthur Smith, same
poor
thing.
Play calling.
And you see it now here for the Saints. This secure win. Andy Dalton was losing his mind. You could see him at the end. He's just nervous, just watching it all happen and unfold. And some of the plays that they called, especially when you have an Alvin Kamara in the backfield where you can kind of run the game out. They're calling timeouts right before a 2-minute warning for some reason to stop the clock. Why? You gave them an extra one. And then you go past, too. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, the one thing that I'll say is, okay, the timeout when they're on defense, I think it was more just to rest their team because Tom Brady and that offense were going, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. They get going right down the field on them, hurry up, hurry up. They're probably getting winded. And I think that was the reason for that. But for their offense, Alvin Kamara is such a difference maker. He's kind of like when we look at these elite, we consider them elite running backs where it's like you get him the ball in his hand, he's going to make something happen. You know what I mean? Kamara, we see him as one of those guys. So whether you're handing the ball off to him or dumping it off to him, getting him out in space and letting him see what he can do after the catch, that's some of those elements that they should have implemented in this game later on. He just wasn't being used that much. Listen, this offense for the Saints, I'm surprised on how much it's changed. Like, we remember Sean, and don't get me wrong, Sean Payton is on another level in terms of coaching and play calling, very creative mind. But I thought we were going to still see some elements from Sean Payton's playbook still instilled in this offense. And the fact that we're not seeing that on a week-to-week basis, we're not seeing creativity with the guys that they have. They have not one, but they have two decent tight ends. Juwan Johnson and Adam Troutman, those guys should have been utilized a lot more in that game. You know what I mean? They should have utilized Alvin Kamara, like we said, a lot more. And Chris Olave was doing his part. I mean, he was attacking deep down the field and what have you. But it's like, you got to mix things up. You got to throw in a wrench here and there. Taysom Hill, I mean, every time he comes in and he lines up at quarterback He did have one pass, mind you.
Yeah.
Which kind of threw everybody off, obviously.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, he's running the ball. And it's not a secret. People watch game film. A lot of times he does run the ball, so they're just they're stuffing the run at that point. So it's like, where's the creativity? Where's the, getting the ball in the playmaker's hands and having them win the game for you? Because if you're relying on Andy Dalton himself to carry that team, we all know he's not the guy. So I was kind of confused after the first half too, with the offensive struggles that they were having, that maybe they might throw in Winston. Winston is healthy. Winston's ready to go. Winston was the starter in the beginning of the season until he got injured.
Yeah.
So it's like, I was wondering, they're going to throw him in after halftime, maybe see if they can spice things up. No. So it's like, I'm disappointed for Saints fans out there in the lack of creativity on their offense and not utilizing Evan Kamara enough. Simple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jesus,
Again, I'm
Alvin
watching
Kamara.
there with you, and I'm just watching this thing
I mean-
unfold too. I'm hoping that I can get a win here, but watching it at the same time. See,
Oh,
this
it's
is how I
crazy.
watch football too, because I know my picks, I know what I'm trying to do though too, but I'll be watching the opposite side that I'm supposed to be rooting against at this point, and be like, what are you guys doing even? Like, what is going on? Why this guy should be doing it? And my son thinks I'm nuts because
Right.
I'm sitting there. He's
You're
like, what
bipolar.
team are you rooting for? I'm like, I just
don't
want to
know.
watch really good football. And when you do this on this side and you're making a mistake over here, I'm just like frustrated and I can't watch you do that. And oh my God.
It's fun.
man,
It's funny.
crazy.
It's funny that you say
Drives
that
me
because
nuts.
there's times that I do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not. And a lot of times, like, I'll watch the game, and I'm watching both teams play, and I'm nitpicking
Yeah,
a bad play call or a bad like missed tackles or something like that. And it's like, what are you guys doing? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
how are you not making that play?
Take what they give you and things like that. Like, yeah, it is nuts. But yeah, I mean, that's some of the
I'll tell you right
headlines
now.
that are going on right now.
I have to say this: if the Buccaneers win this division, it's a crime.
Yeah.
You cannot allow them, as bad as they're playing and as bad as their offensive line is. Like, what I want to see real quick. This is how close it is. So the Buccaneers are 6-6. They're 500 right now. The Falcons are 5-8. The Panthers are 4-8 after a win last week. Maybe the Panthers could turn it around with Sam
Imagine that,
Darnold.
With Sam Darnold. Some of the games, that's what I think we should watch in the next couple of weeks, and that maybe it'd be a segment of ours too, is who can come back, who's the comeback team, what they can do, to get in. I mean, if you're Raiders now, if they can string a few wins,
They gotta honestly
they've won every week since that breakdown by Derek Carr here at the press conference.
Honestly, it's a tall order to ask, but the Raiders literally have to win out.
Yeah.
They have to beat they play the Patriots coming up, not this week, but they play the Rams tomorrow night, obviously. They play the Patriots coming up. They play the Chiefs again.
They play the Niners.
And they play the Niners without a Jimmy G. So, but that might not
goes
mean
in
much.
here,
To be honest, we have to see how this kid progresses. It might not mean much. Maybe he adds a little spark to them, and they're playing just as good or maybe even a little bit better. We don't know, but that's something that we got to monitor for sure. But they got a lot of big games. Obviously, they're all big, but to me, it's a little far fetched. It's like when we play the Chiefs again, like we lost by 1 point, and that was when everybody wrote off the Raiders. Everybody, even me too. I was we're gonna get destroyed. We lose by 1. But like that's when you go talk about coaching decisions. That was a brain fart on the part of Josh McDaniels. He instead of going for the tie in a hostile environment and your defense isn't really stopping them.
Yeah.
You went for 2 to try to get 1 point ahead. Really? They still got a chance to go down and kick a field goal.
Yeah,
So-
so it didn't matter. Yeah, I know it's situational.
You never know.
That's what it is. But yeah, so it's been pretty crazy. A lot of storylines going out there this week.
it.
But we're getting closer to that time. Somebody even asked me too.
Right
it was
down the
when's
stretch.
playoffs starting. They're going to be playing pretty soon. But there's a lot of teams that are in the bubble and on the bubble here that can possibly make it. So again, maybe we'll make that a segment moving forward. But before we get into our picks, I want to just tell you guys about our other sponsor here, PPK. Every time I bring one up, the icon comes up there. It's amazing.
I
It's
think
perfect.
you have a
It's like
timer.
They already know.
I think you have a timer somewhere.
Yeah, I'm clicking actually right now. So there they are. Paul Perry Kitchens. They help us out in every single way that they can too. You talk about our partnership with all these guys, Mohawk Honda and Colorize and stuff.
Yep.
Paul Perry Kitchen's been there nonstop too, and they do help us on our live shows and stuff too. They help get us to get what we need to do, and whatever you need. I mean, it's Christmas time. What better time to get a kitchen or a custom closet? They do custom closets now too, and custom showers too and stuff, and glass repair, screen repair. All your home needs, I would just go to Paul Perry Kitchens at 115 Freeman's Bridge Road or paulperrykitchens.com. Talk to a designer, design the closet of your dreams or your wife's dreams. What a better
Kitchen of
thing
your
for
dreams.
Kitchen of your dreams, for Christmas to open her, cover her eyes, then surprise, and then there's a huge walk-in closet, custom. Oh man, amazing. So
Just put her in it.
That'll get you the special treats, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So think of your wife and your loved ones here at this time of the holidays here, and take her to Paul Perry Kitchens and design that kitchen or custom closet today. Joe,
yeah.
The picks competition right now, again, there it is. There's the drink that we have to drink
That
if we
is
are the
the
loser.
football.
Again, Joe took it last year. I had it previous 2 years, so it's been a knockout, drag-out season again, Joe. It is super tight. Here it is. You've got me by 2 games now. Almost. If I lost that one, that would have been like a 3-game sweep on top, so that would have been down like 3 then, or 4. So that would have been rough for me to try and come back, but still there's like a couple weeks left though, and we go into the playoffs too as well, so it gets crazy. It went down just about to the Super Bowl last year, so I'm thinking this year it's going to be a lot of the same. But
I don't think we did the playoffs the first time we started.
No, I don't think we did.
I think the first 2 years, I think we cut it off at the end of the season, and then just waited to make the announcement or whatever, have our show.
But it's been so
it.
tight. I think that's why we just keep it going, because it make it exciting and interesting. But yeah, here we go. It's getting tighter. This season has been ups and downs. We had a couple bad weeks, but now it seems like we're really getting
couple bad weeks, bro. Like, how about the first half of the season was pretty bad? We were below 500 at the time. And it wasn't looking good.
Yeah. Well, I know, and unfortunately, what does that say for Mike Tackett's record either, too, right now? Because he's just not very good. Because we had really a lot of bad weeks, but right now we're over again. We're 120, 118
We're
wins.
starting to figure it all out.
Pretty good.
Starting to figure it out.
Yep.
But listen, real quick, before we even get into our picks right now, just listen. If you've watched us this long, if you love to talk football, do us a huge favor. Help us over on YouTube. Try to grow this football community of ours, to help us grow our know-it-alls. Head over to YouTube real quick. Search us up, Football on the Know Show. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. We're also on Facebook. You can follow us there. Become a member. Become a know-it-all. And you can also follow us on
#know-it-alls.
Twitter, where we like to post a lot of different articles and stuff about the NFL, around the NFL league, at FB_know. And last but not least, you can also take us with you on the go and be in the know. Anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, iTunes, you name it, we're there. Hit a follow there. Bring us along on your journey.
Absolutely.
Try to help you guys out. And hey, we're the most interactive NFL talk show, bar none. Come on, test us. Drop some comments down below.
Yeah.
You got questions. If you even have an opinion about what we're talking about, something, drop it down below. We'll give you a shout out. We'll read your
listen to
answer. Listen, that's what we're here about. You know what I mean? We're about the community. We're about to keep growing this thing and keep growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. We got a lot of news, coming up in the next year or so too. So a lot of things going on with Godzilla Media right now. The Christmas parties this weekend, Joe. That got sprung on me, But
Weekend.
Yeah, this weekend. This Friday.
Oh,
Is at Hooters. So Levac and Goz will be at Hooters,
Wow.
and I guess the Christmas.
Where was my
party's there.
invitation?
Yeah, I know. We just got it the other day.
we didn't get it in the mail though.
Yeah,
I expected some kind of professional courtesy.
Last minute.
Like,
But,
I mean, I was expecting maybe a telegram or something.
Right. So if you
Do they
guys
even make those anymore?
I don't know. I don't think so. But if you are interested in hanging out with any of the Godzilla Media, personalities, come
Yes,
on down to the Hooters.
That's
We'll
right.
be there
We're all about
5:30 to 7, hanging out and stuff, and having
All
our
about
party.
it.
So check that out.
Order some wings. drink some beers,
Yeah.
have a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so next let's get to the picks. Thursday night, we've got the Vegas Raiders and now the Los Angeles Rams, Joe.
Jesus.
You've got Baker Mayfield now, like you said, that might be getting some play time. Vegas
I
has been
swear.
on a tear right now.
Yeah.
Again,
Well, let's just say
well, not
this.
a tear.
They're
They've
not
been
a tear,
winning. Yeah,
but they've been winning.
Yeah. I
because
guess I
it seems like
overplayed that
every
one, you know.
game is like going to
It is.
overtime or it's like within a score. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know what
Always on
the-
edge.
The
I don't know what
Chargers
it's-
were even doing last week.
Can
man.
you-
That's some- for
has-
some reason they couldn't get Austin Eckler going. Like I don't know.
Let me ask you. This.
Yeah.
You know, this year, right? Has all your games been super close?
Oh yeah.
Has there been? Has it all been super close, or have you had a game or two that where you kind of were comfortable winning the game?
Oh, like when I
Like points, like points.
Oh.
Has it always been right down to the end of the game?
A lot of
or?
games have been like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Why?
Because I don't know what it feels like to just flat out win.
Oh, like for the Giants to flat out, everyone's close. I mean, look at even the come from behind wins that we had early on in the season against the Ravens and stuff like that.
I
And
just-
teams,
all I'm
games you weren't
saying-
supposed to win.
All I'm saying is I would like at least one, maybe two games would be great, to where I didn't have to sit on the edge of my seat and bite my nails.
Right. No, I get it.
'Cause
and I know you've
stressing
dealt
me
with
out.
some injuries though too.
It's
I get
stressing
that,
me out.
You know, at least both of our quarterbacks have been healthy so far.
It's stressing the.
But again, for me to not even field a team of guys that were supposed to be starting at one point, you know, this. And I've said to my son and other relatives, other people think, other Cowboys fans who want to rub it in when they win. It's like, okay, who's your starting wide receiving core?
Yeah.
And then I'll name you mine now. You know what I mean? Like, have you ever heard
Do
of
you
these
think-
guys? No.
That's
You
the thing.
barely know anybody besides CeeDee Lamb on your team or Micah Parsons. So, you know, Cowboy fan. So shut up.
So I mean, here's my thing: is because this is kind of spurring on a question here. If the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say this: if the Giants had what the Cowboys have,
Right.
If they had Pollard and they had, we'll even just say they had Zeke, Pollard, and the cast, Gallup and CeeDee Lamb,
Mm-hmm.
and the Cowboys had instead your receivers and Saquon Barkley.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah.
Do the records change much, or does one go well above the other?
Oh, I think it changes absolutely.
think the
Especially
Giants have the bigger-
I think the
bigger-
Giants would definitely win then, and like by a decent amount because one, coaching. I think Brian Dable is a better coach than what Mike McCarthy's showing right now. Again,
Well,
Mike McCarthy doesn't
let's-
show like he can
let's,
do anything.
you know,
but I know we were talking about personnel. Even
we've already
it's
said,
clear
though-
that you could see the personnel.
We've already said about Mike McCarthy, he doesn't go to games to coach. He goes to games to watch the big
The screen, I
up
get
above.
it. They had the bigger TV. That's why he went
That's
to the
what
Cowboys.
he's all about.
That's why
Exactly.
it is. But yeah, it's obvious. It's clear right there. Because those games have even been fairly close. It wasn't until later on in the game that Dallas kind of pulled away in the last couple
They still
of minutes
keep.
there.
By the way, they still keep the quarterbacks the same.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think still even despite that, because you've seen even
still
how
think-
well
yeah.
did how well did Dak Prescott play against the Giants D last time? You know, when they just played.
Right.
He had what, 2 picks or something like that, or 2 turnovers, I think, even 2 in that game. Not very well. He doesn't play well against the Cowboys. If you want to look at the lines,
Right.
I think that Cooper Rush probably had a better stat line even at that point. You know, if you look at the both games. So, well, I don't know, but yeah, it's funny with that. But getting back to your Vegas Raiders here, well, that's what you started bringing it up because
Yeah.
at least you got to see Devontae Adams too, at least every week. And not, you weren't winning, but your Josh Jacobs stays healthy too. I'm looking at a receiving core again. The guys literally off the street and in third stringers,
Right.
Yeah. And guys that just constantly
It's
drop the ball. It's like, oh,
And it's funny too because like the Raiders right now, and we kind of said this in the little bit of the beginning of the season. We saw because Josh McDaniels' new coaching staff, and with the Giants and the Raiders, very different pathways they've went. You know what I mean? New coaching staff for the Raiders, what looked like a unstoppable offense. And this goes to show you when you're learning a new offense, especially if it's complex and difficult to learn, it's going to take some time. And it's taken up to this point. We're in week 14 now. And now we're starting to see the last couple of weeks where the Raiders offense looks like it's better now.
Yeah.
It looks like it's starting to hum. And it's without Darren Waller. It's without Hunter Renfrow. It's without those 2 key pieces that now if you insert those guys, does that make this offense now unstoppable? Like, I guess what I'm saying is as long as Darren Waller, when they come back, I think it's next week, not this week, not tomorrow night, but when Renfro and Waller come back, I hope that they have learned the playbook as well as everyone that's been playing. Because if they come back and they're 100%, this offense could be lethal, like we thought in the beginning of the year.
Right, and I heard things too of what was going on. I think Josh McDaniels now had said it's not even a difference in like with the offense and what's going on. It's the players. So I think maybe he's changed a little bit as a coach for this whole the last stint here. I think that awakening.
Oh, he's definitely
that
changed.
came out
He's
and it's kind of said
changed.
instead of keep pushing the system, hey, do this, do that, do that. Because I think you've seen this with the people that come out of the Bill Belichick coaching tree. Right. It's my way or the highway type of deal. This trust the system. This is what it's got to be. And now he's kind of went to the players like, listen, guys, if you guys work together and then you do this and blah, blah, it'll all work out to, just trust each other and this. And I think take that approach, and it's about controlling and looking at the players and talking to them, not talking at them about your system that you have. I think that's where it has maybe turned the corner too.
Yeah, because when you look in
thing.
in Denver, when he had his first coaching opportunity, a lot of former players or maybe current players, if they're still there, they were complaining about his coaching, ability. They were complaining about how it was, like you said, his way or the highway. Like, if you don't do it this way, then you're not going to play or you're out of here. You know what I mean? He had a very rigid type of coaching philosophy where it just doesn't fly with all these different teams. Yeah. In New England, they established a culture there. They established that hard-nosed coaching, but at the same time, really good coaching. Like that's why you bought into it. And now when Josh was on his own in Denver, I think he kind of lost sight of that. I think he just said, "Oh well, it's got to be this way and no way, and I don't want to listen to you guys. And you do what I call. You call when I call a play, you run that. Do not audible it." So I think he learned a lot in that first tenure as a coach. That now in Vegas, he's taking a little bit different of approach. He's not. He is taking advice, or I should say not advice, but he's taking thoughts and ideas from the players like Derek Carr or Josh Jacobs, how we should run this play, or maybe how we should develop this play and throw the ball. So it seems like there's a lot more give and take now with Josh McDaniels. So, and that's where I kind of think that he is kind of winning this locker room over. And as much as discrepancy as there was about, there's a division now between Carr and McDaniel. When you look in that locker room, I watched the last 2 weeks because they won or whatever, and they have their locker room video like every other team does. You can tell when Josh McDaniels walks into that room, everybody is. It's not like everyone's standing there and saying, "Oh yeah, we did a good job." But it's like everybody is on board. They're all in. So, I mean, it's a completely different type of makeup now. So, I don't know if that's going to be... Here's the other thing, too, is this game is on a short week for the Raiders. This is in L.A., which is basically a home game for them. Their defense has played better. But, mind you, they're going to be without their starting cornerback, Rock Ya-Sin, who's actually played pretty well. They do have Nate Hobbs. That's a good deal. But they're missing a couple of players. Josh Jacobs, right now, they say is questionable for Thursday night's game. But... the calf injury that he has isn't really serious at all. It's kind of like, like a little kind of pull type of deal. Like it's not like he can't play. So I expect him as a full go tomorrow night. The Rams. What do you say about the Rams? John Wolford, who started last week, has a neck issue. He's questionable, probably not playing at all. Yeah. That's why when we talked about Baker earlier in the show, it looks like they're going to make him active, and he's going to be the starter, which will be crazy. However, if they don't start Baker, this is kind of what I'm thinking. He's only been there 2 days. What can you really teach the guy in 2 days, or what can he learn in just 2 days? I think that this might be a mirage. I think they're spinning it this way to get the Raiders to maybe prepare for Baker, but it's going to be Perkins.
Perkins
is going to be the
Bryce
starter.
Perkins, yeah.
That's kind of what I think, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But after that, like the Rams also are going to be without Troy Hill, the starting corner opposite Ramsey. And Ramsey's got a lot to say about Devontae. Ramsey's kind of developed a little bit of a rivalry with Devontae Adams when he was a Packer.
Yeah.
And now it looks like it's returning in L.A. They've been jabbering back and forth all week saying, I'm going to shut you down. Devontae's like, okay, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
But
but we talked about Ramsey nonstop this week.
He's going to get cooked.
Yeah, he is. He's going to get.
He's going to get
and
cooked.
that's
We've seen him.
not good.
We've seen lesser receivers do it to him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there is no Aaron Donald still.
Yep.
For the Rams, so they are missing some big pieces on that team. No Cooper Kupp as well.
Yeah.
He's not returned yet. So backup quarterback, a lot missing for the Rams, and for the Raiders, this is a big game. They got to win this game, just like every other one going forward. So you're not going to get it, and I don't want to say it like you're not getting an easy opponent, but you're getting an easier opponent because they don't have their studs,
Right.
all their studs.
Absolutely. And if you look at the Rams, too, I mean, what do you want to do when you have a new quarterback or even a younger quarterback that
Run the
doesn't have
ball?
experience? Run the ball. What don't the Rams do effectively? Run the football.
Run the ball.
You know what I mean?
But-
and so
But is all I have to say is that the Raiders might help them.
I was just going to say the Raiders defense maybe, that's their weakness. But again, they have a good running back there back behind them, though, too. Josh Jacobs and the weapon. So I like the Raiders in this one. I think you're leaning that way, too, as well.
Yeah, I
for
think
these
so.
guys here, too, for Thursday
I'm going to
night.
pick the Raiders just because they are still home.
We should have
even
tried
though
to do
they're
a
in LA.
live show for this one, man. That would have been cool still. I mean, it sucks for where the Raiders are at, or I mean, the Rams are at now, but to see your Raiders out, out in the live event would have been cool. Breed out the Raiders fans. But, all right, next we've got Sunday here. The Jets and the Buffalo Bills. This is a new type of game, I think, now.
It's different now.
If you see the way Mike White has really put this team on his shoulders, the T-shirts that they made too against Zach Wilson and everything too that the other players were wearing, and like they're clear that he has lost that locker room. Absolutely, they are all in on Mike White, and again, they looked like they were going to get killed last week. It looked really bad, but then all of a sudden kept fighting, kept biting, and it went down to that Braxton Berrios catch. But if the ball was just a little higher, I think it was easier to catch for him. But that catch away from maybe beating now the Minnesota Vikings right there, that comeback close. So this Jets team with that defense the way it's been playing, and now Mike White at the helm putting up again another 400-yard week against the Buffalo Bills, who at times, unfortunately, it's here at home. So I think those home fans are going to go nuts, and these guys are going to play hard here for them. But Jets looking different in a different light under Mike White.
They are and they aren't. Like, this is what I'm saying. This is kind of like a thing. It was a couple of our know-it-alls out there. I've been talking to them this week, and they're like, oh, give Mike White props. You're not giving him props with this, that, and the other thing.
I know.
Like, listen, no. I like Mike White. Don't get me wrong. I really do. But I'm always a creature of habit here. I don't like to jump on the bandwagon right away. I want to see consistency from him. I want to see that before I crown him the new starter of the Jets, I got to see consistency throughout the rest of the season and see what he can do for them. First week that he played a terrible Chicago defense. He played a terrible team. And he went off. He had 390 yards or something crazy like that. And he had 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdown passes. And they were like, oh, see, we told you. That was one game. This week, very different scenario.
Yeah.
He threw for 367 yards this week against the Vikings. Still, the Vikings do give up a lot of passing yards anyway. But no touchdown passes, and he threw 2 interceptions. One of which shouldn't be credited to Mike White, but it was. It was a tip ball, and it got picked. But, again, that it's a tale of 2 different weeks. Let's see what he does this week. He's playing a very, very stingy Buffalo defense at home in Buffalo. Josh Allen they're going to have to contend with. And I'm not saying that this is going to be a landslide because divisional games change everything. Divisional games, each team knows each other so well that they do such a good job preparing for each other. This literally could be either or. But because it's in Buffalo, I'm going with Stephon Diggs. I'm going with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills and that defense. I still think this is going to be a very, very good game, but I'm not so sure the Jets. I'm just not sure about this week. The Jets kind of coming into Buffalo and taking over.
Yeah, I hear you there too. I mean, again, I think it's gonna be closer than people seem at times here, just because of the.
Why couldn't they make
White
this?
does bring at times, but what?
Why couldn't they make this a primetime game?
Because
I think Jets and Buffalo would have been good.
Well, what's funny is because this week was Kansas City and Denver were supposed to be the primetime game.
Yeah, thank
And
God they
got
flexed that
flexed
out.
it out to Miami and the Chargers, but I think they were hoping the Chargers going to be something a little better than what they have been. And everybody wants to see Miami's explosive offense here on the primetime. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah,
so
you
they
could
wanna
still
see
do that because I know they have
so
another
this could
one.
be a shootout here
But
between
why not?
these two quarterbacks.
But, I mean, I could go through here and flex better games than this.
We've got Greg Schreiner's in the house with us, Joe.
What's going on, Greg?
Greg's in the house talking about the Buffalo
going
Bills.
on?
He goes, I would be so surprised if the Jets go 2-0 against the Bills this year. Yeah, about that, it would be surprising.
You wouldn't be the only one, Greg,
no.
just so you know.
I know. A lot of people are surprised by some of the
would not be
losses
the
that
only
the Bills have had this year, but they've done their share of injuries too.
Yeah.
But their depth, I think, has kept them going and what they've been able to do. And Stephon Diggs, having him not only just as a receiver out there and what he does with his ability,
So amazing.
but the guy on the sidelines that gets everybody up and going on the offensive side and the defensive side, and then to the crowd on top of it. This guy has been more than enough of what they've gotten from the trade here from Minnesota here for, as just a player, but, as a general, and as a person in the locker room, everything all together this guy has been for this team.
He's been amazing. Josh Allen is really coming into his own as a quarterback and playing through injuries and playing through a lot of adversity. I mean, this team has a nice recipe for a big-time playoff push for them, and they were favorites coming in. The other thing, too, is I do have to mention this, too. We mentioned Dallas's receiving core. I don't think the Bills get enough talk about their receiving core. Yes, everybody knows Stephon Diggs, but Gabe Davis is a bad man. He will take over games himself as well. So I think if Odell's thinking like, oh, well, who has the better offense? I mean, like, you got the Giants, you got the Bills involved, you got the Cowboys. Not for nothing, but I think the best case scenario is the Bills. Like, that to me is a team that's a winning culture right now. They're very solid, and you insert yourself into that receiving core. Jesus.
Oh, I know. Because
with that quarterback,
Isaiah McKenzie even has been nice for them too on occasion too. He spreads the ball around to them, Dawson Knox. But yeah, I mean, I like Buffalo still here at home. There's no denying. But the Jets, we'll see what they can do. The Cleveland Browns now with Deshaun Watson here back at the helm. This looks like a better matchup now, Joe.
Jesus.
Now we're getting Deshaun Watson here against the
We got to
Cincinnati
talk about
Bengals.
Watson this week because, oh, my God, I watched the game. Holy hell. That Browns team, the offense didn't do squat, by the way, the whole game. It was all the Browns defense doing the scoring. It was insane. I've never seen Watson look so bad. And we talked about this and how could he be rusty coming back and playing his first game? And we thought about that. We're like, hey, there's a possibility where he's not going to light it up his first week out. And he struggled worse than I thought he would. And it was simple as like slant plays to Amari Cooper, who was open, and just flat out throw it in the ground.
Yeah.
So it's like maybe this is going to take a lot more time to get acclimated as a Brown. But Deshaun Watson, hopefully you have a better week this week.
Yeah, I know. It was pretty rough. But again, who knows? It's just maybe knocking the rust off a little bit and moving forward. But he's got a tough opponent here in Cincinnati.
Definitely does.
The way they played last week against the Kansas City Chiefs, they really put it to them on multiple phases. That offensive line I want to give credit to because Joe Burrow really isn't really getting pressured. And for that offensive line to be as leaky as it is, you couldn't get Chris Jones in the backfield at all. Any of those guys to get any kind of pressure there? I mean, they really did nothing, and so that left that backside where we know that the Chiefs aren't very good at, very vulnerable, and that's when they were able to just pick them apart. And even still, Samaje Perine there in the backfield has been a nice backup and fill-in spot for them.
To start that week
and doing well. Yeah, absolutely, and just getting it done on all phases for them against the tough Kansas City Chiefs team. Here at home, they've been playing really well at home here, too. And the Cleveland Browns, they're a nice, complete team. But, again, if you still got the questions about Deshaun Watson here, this is going to be a close game. But I think I'm going to err on the side of caution here just with the Cincinnati Bengals here and then hoping that maybe they've hit their stride and they're trying to make a push here.
we talk about how Watson struggled last week. I think that's going to continue this week because it just seems like he's just not there yet. You know what I mean? He's healthy, but he's not catching up to the speed of the game. His throws came out kind of really awkwardly. So I wonder, like, he's got to clean that up coming into this week. If they're to have any kind of chance, he needs to play a lot better than last week for sure.
There's a lot of guys that are not practicing right now either.
For Cleveland?
For Cleveland.
For Cleveland, yeah.
But
Cincinnati's pretty healthy, though. Joe Mixon passed his concussion protocol, so he'll be back into the fold there for them. Jesse Bates practiced in full. Hayden Hurst did not practice, so got to watch out to see how he transcends later in the week. But for the Bengals, being healthy, being at home, and I still got concerns about Watson. Whether he kind of wakes up this week or not, we'll see. But I'm going with the Bengals as well.
All right, here we go. We've got the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Texans. And this is a funny thing with the Texans, too, Joe.
Tell them.
We can do it.
Tell them.
It's so many things that, all right, with so many things that change and it still remains the same. Right? Isn't that the saying or something like that? No matter how many things change, it still remains the same. You don't have the same Bill O'Brien coach there anymore. You don't have,
God.
the GMs. And what do? You have a quarterback situation again. You have Davis Mills in there. It looks like he's
You
trying
really
to grow.
don't,
He's
though.
doing. I know. Well, that's the thing. You pull him out for a week. Oh, let's try Kyle Allen this week. Maybe
For no
he's
reason.
the answer. No,
For
he's
no
not.
reason.
All right, let's go back to Davis Mills. Why? Why are we playing these games? Why did you even try Kyle Allen?
Lovey Smith.
I know, but again, it sounds like a lot like what they did with Bill O'Brien when they had the T.J.
Yeah.
Yates and all these other different guys. Let's
Lovie
try this guy
Smith.
this way. Let's try this way. Why? Why
This
are you
is
doing
why-
it? Just let Davis Mills do his thing. You're a losing team right now.
You're rebuilding.
You're
You're rebuilding.
finding something with that defense looked better last week, but. Instead of just Jerry Hughes doing it all for him.
And they got to keep building
but
that side of the ball,
You
too.
got a good running back in your field, in your team right now, too.
Rookie.
Build off of that.
Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, absolutely. But then again, go through your pains with the quarterback, see what you really have throughout the whole year, and then make your evaluations moving forward. Why put Kyle Allen in, and then just the next week they're like, oh, yeah, we made a mistake. Let's just.
This is the reason why Lovie Smith was fired in Chicago. He does not make good coaching decisions. He does not make good personnel decisions. We've seen this before. It's not new. I mean, the Texans right now are one of the worst run organizations, and we've seen the whole Bill O'Brien debacle. We've seen them trade away DeAndre Hopkins for peanuts. We've seen the worst things happen for them, and they still haven't got it right. They settled on Lovie Smith. That's really what happened. They settled and say, oh, well, we can't seem to draw any interest to come here, so we're going to hire Lovie out of nowhere. And you're seeing the results. Not a very good coach. He's had his run before. It's not going to work. So for them to start Kyle Allen over Davis Mills, there's no reason to, because it's not like you were going to, all of a sudden come back and make the playoffs. You're 1-10-1. So leave Davis Mills in there. Let him get experience. We've already seen him win games with the players around him.
Yeah.
Just let him keep growing as a quarterback, and then next season, add some more pieces on defense, add some more pieces on offense if you need to, and then let's see what you can do next year.
Yeah, absolutely. But moving forward again here with this team and in this game, Dallas Cowboys, again, they look like they're on their spot here too. So Houston, they're losing team. Dallas just a playoff bounce, so I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys in here. Not much to really discuss about what Houston's going to be able to do.
Not a whole lot
I would
to discuss.
love to if they did pull an upset here.
that would be amazing.
That would be great.
I wonder what the odds are
I'm
for
not very
Houston to win.
optimistic about that one. Yes.
But yeah, and then we have some news about the offensive line for Dallas. Very injured and often injured. Tyron Smith looks like he's due to come back. He's had his 21-day practice window opened in order for the Dallas Cowboys to activate him back onto the roster. And if they do so, obviously they got to make a cut somewhere. But it looks like they might be getting back their starting tackle once again, and then he'll probably get hurt before the playoffs start.
We'll see.
So DeMarcus Lawrence practice limited. Kevin Joseph, Jaron Curse also limited. Not very beat up little bit, but not very beat up, and they're getting some help hopefully this week with Tyron Smith. Healthy team, Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard. Like, there's really no discussion about this. I got Dallas all day long.
All right, here we go. We got the Minnesota Vikings in Detroit. Now, after that game last week, yes, it was the Jags, but
The Jaguars, as you would like to
Minnesota
say.
in Detroit. I really like this game. This one, I think, even possibly could have
It
been
could.
one of the ones that was
Very well.
because this is going to be,
Very
I
well
think, a
could be.
nice game. Because Detroit, like we said, now there's electricity in that dome. There, the fans are behind this team. They are the working man's type of football team.
I have to say this is Detroit. The fan base for Detroit is one of the best fan bases in the league. And because I say this because they have been through thick and thin, and a lot of thin, and they are still selling out games. They are still right there for their team, cheering them on. So kudos to you, Detroit fans.
Yeah, there you go. So, I mean, but the Lions, again, I think they're hitting a good stride right now. They play tough every single time. Minnesota has been one of those teams that, again, keeps it close, just barely edges out some of these games. Luckily, they do have Justin Jefferson because he makes a lot of that stuff look easy for them.
Too
and it's
easy
made a lot of
sometimes.
good plays for them to get them those victories.
Yeah.
This could be a close game, but I'm going to err on the side of caution and just go with Minnesota. But I would not be surprised if Detroit pulls out the victory here in this one. And I would be excited for that one, too. I would
I
celebrate
absolutely
that.
would be.
I would
Absolutely.
celebrate that.
For Detroit, some things we've got to monitor is like their center, Frank Ragnow, didn't practice. Jeff Okuda didn't practice. DeAndre Swift is interesting because he practiced limited, but this is a guy that hasn't gotten a whole lot of opportunity this year. I wonder if he's in the doghouse for some reason or what have you, but it's like they use him very sparingly. Like, you might see him on 3rd and 6 or 3rd and goal, and then he gets catches a pass and runs it in the end zone, or makes people miss and ends up getting the first down. He's a difference maker. So I'm kind of confused why I see more of Jamal Williams out there and less of DeAndre Swift. I'm kind of confused there. Maybe, just maybe, they play him more this week because he is a difference maker. But the Detroit Lions, their defense is playing better. I mean, this is a very exciting time for Lions fans out there. It seems like they're turning the corner. They're winning some games that not a lot of people expected. Minnesota, they're also up and down. I don't know what to make of them, to be honest. You know, one week they're dominant, and the next week are like, oh, this is an easy win, and they end up falling flat. So I know that the defense gives up a lot in the air. This is definitely a tough one to pick. I think I'm going to go with the Vikings in this one.
All right.
Just because. I think it's going to be a lot of Justin Jefferson
Here we go.
action.
So then we can enjoy this game. We both picked the same team, you know, and it's the Vikings. So if the Vikings lose, I think we'll be happy for Detroit.
I'm going to be pissed off at the Vikings.
Yeah, right. Nice. All right, here.
I'll be happy for the Lions,
They're one of
though.
those teams, though. Yeah, that always gets me. You know, I mean, like I think Cincinnati's gonna screw me now that I picked them.
I think it's funny too because I'm not 100% sure, but does Minnesota play well at home? I almost think that a lot of times that Kirk Cousins doesn't really play well at home.
Well, that's good because they're gonna be playing in Detroit, so maybe it works out for him. He likes those plane rides back, you know, and gets to wear the chains
and
everything. So, all right, next we got the Jags and the Tennessee Titans. I think this is the perfect team, again, to set them straight here. The Titans at home, they play better at home, you know, on that lovely grass here in Jacksonville. Oh, man, you know, you edged out a close one against the Ravens a few weeks back, but then, again, just get shellacked by the Detroit Lions. I don't expect much here to come back here against Tennessee. Tennessee's looking for that win, looking to grind back out and get back, rewrite the ship here. I like the Tennessee Titans in this one.
Yeah, Tennessee, like they've kind of been like in a little bit of a whirlwind. They got stomped out against the Eagles, and A.J. Brown was like, definitely let you know about it.
Yeah.
Tennessee's coming into this game. This is a game that not only do they have to win, it's a game that they're still in that race. So I look for the Titans to kind of get back on track. Ryan Tannehill to kind of run the offense the way he normally does, and Derrick Henry maybe kind of get back, get going, and get some more momentum for this team. I got the Titans.
All right, here you go. Remember the Titans. All right, here we go. The Philadelphia Eagles and the New York Giants, Joe.
Oh,
Giants at
geez.
home. Here we go.
This is crazy.
I never liked them at home unless I go to the games. If I went to this game, I'm telling you the Giants are going to win because we are
Let's go.
We are undefeated right there
go.
every time I go to the games. So
Let's go.
maybe that's the whole point.
See, Jim, everybody, donate money right now.
Yeah,
if you're a Giants
go
fan
fund
out there,
me. We got to do a thing.
fund
Yeah.
Jimmy to get down there to watch the game because you guys will get a win.
That's true. Exactly. Giants fans gather around. But Philadelphia, they look like the powerhouse right now. What they're doing, again, on all phases, defense, you see the players that they have. You don't need to list them off. Jalen Hurts is really coming to his own again. And it's nice, though, too, because he has
Sure
all
has.
those weapons, though. But the threat of him even running and taking off, too. So that's the thing about this pass rush. If they do get to him and they don't contain, that could be a major issue here for them. And that running attack, actually, now that they have this season. I like the Philadelphia Eagles in this one. But I'll also be happy if the Giants somehow
pull it out.
surprise us. And pull out
Maybe
a
they
victory.
could if they had Odell. That's all I'm saying.
That's right. Yeah, it could be.
But he can't play this week anyway.
He wouldn't be able to play.
He
though.
would have been on the
He could be on
sideline,
the
though.
sideline, yeah,
Would have been on
cheering
the
him
sideline, cheering him on.
What
Maybe-
the Giants need to do
maybe,
is they need to somehow run the football here and keep Philadelphia off the field.
Maybe reestablish that relationship with the kicking net
So
once again.
yeah, maybe. Yeah,
New
they
York?
could. How about that? Kicking net could welcome back.
This one,
Do you feel the same way,
it's,
Joe?
it's tough. I will say that. But you are getting help. You have none other than Kenny Galladay, who practiced in full today.
How was that helpful?
On a team that has no receivers, Kenny Galladay, who should not be considered a receiver anymore, he should be considered a life-sucking.
I know. For a guy, to where you get cheered when you make a catch in a game.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
it is
that's
ridiculous.
sarcasm. That's sarcasm.
I know, it's hilarious, but I mean, that
Yes,
shouldn't
I
be
mean
that way.
the Eagles. This is going to be a tough game. I honestly, this is one of those divisional games that it really could go either way. I'm leaning more on the side of the Eagles. I'm going to take the Eagles in this one just because they've been very difficult to stop so far, and who knows? Maybe the Giants have the recipe.
Maybe we do have the recipe for this one. That would be nice. Again, it would be a pleasant surprise.
I'll tell you right now, that would be huge.
Yeah, big time.
If the Giants could get a win against the Eagles, that would be big.
It would be. All right, next we've got the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers here, Joe. Pittsburgh has been able to string a few together. Baltimore struggling. Is going to be Tyler Huntley in this one again to
Tyler
start?
Huntley, yeah.
Because Lamar, the injury that he had.
He'll be out 1 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, so
It's a week-to-week thing.
That's big for them because I think the whole offense, even though when Huntley's in there,
Still good.
he's still good. Again,
Actually,
because he
you know
fits
what?
The system that they
I
have.
almost think that the offense runs better.
Yeah.
And only reason why I say that is because Huntley can actually throw a touch on the ball. So he can actually kind of drop the ball into the basket there for a receiver to make it an easier catch. Lamar Jackson, he's more of a bullet passer, kind of like Michael Vick was. So in a sense, whenever they're passing, it almost seems like Huntley gets rid of the ball quicker, and he can fit it into those little windows there. So for Baltimore, I mean, this is going to be a brutal game. That's all I have to say. Baltimore's defense is playing lights out. Pittsburgh,
They got a lot of people on their injury list that did not practice.
Yeah.
Baltimore.
Yep.
Wow, it is a laundry
Well,
list, but
it's
again,
a
it
laundry
could be
list,
just resting,
but
guys.
a lot of it's limited. A couple players didn't practice today, and that could be because of rest. I mean, you never really know how to read these and read into it.
Yeah, I mean, but it's Cologne,
But-
Zeitler, Devin Duvernay, Calais Campbell did not practice.
It's only
like,
Wednesday. That's the
I know.
hardest part.
Yeah,
Unless they said out today.
yeah, I know, and they're not
It's
going
a-
to do that yet.
So,
that's
I mean-
the thing about our show on Wednesday. Sometimes you can't anticipate
it's
any
tough.
of that stuff. So
We
when
have
we
to
do your
guess.
picks, we do it so early.
We have to
So I think
guess.
the fact that we get so many right a lot of times, I think is really
It is
good.
amazing. We're not waiting till the end of the week. We're like, we don't need injury reports. We're just going to
I
pick.
tell you, this is going to be a tough one, but you know what? I might just lean towards Pittsburgh because they're at home.
Okay.
Right now, and yes, Huntley sometimes again he looks good in that offense and stuff, but I think I'm going to go with Pittsburgh on this one. Why
I'll
not?
tell you something that was interesting last week. I've seen a couple of big-time injuries from the Pittsburgh Steelers. T.J. Watt got injured. He's really trying to protect those ribs. He ended up leaving the game because he got hit in the ribs again, and he'll be able to play. But I just don't know if he takes another
How
shot, it's
effective
going to
he's
keep
gonna
him
be.
out
Yeah.
for any kind of length of time. Najee Harris didn't practice today. He had an oblique issue. He left the game as well last week. So I wonder if he'll be ready to go by the end of the week for them. Other than that, they're pretty healthy. Deontay Johnson, he also kind of practiced limited, so he'll be good to go. I don't know about this is definitely a tough game because whether you're playing in Pittsburgh or Baltimore, these guys come to play. I'm going to go Baltimore though with Huntley as the quarterback and
All
that
right.
defense.
All right, next we got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Denver Broncos, the game that got flexed back down now to 405. Denver,
Go Broncos!
the Broncos couldn't even win again when Lamar Jackson's out of the game, and still couldn't pull out a victory. I mean, you're Russell Wilson.
They had the game won.
Yeah,
They
and
were-
you've got your team you lost your team even now too. You see them yelling on the sidelines and
Oh,
stuff like that.
did you
too.
see? Yeah, who was it? It was either a D lineman. I think it was a D tackle that was walking off the field and literally roasted Russell Wilson, screamed at him in frustration. And obviously we're not going to know what he said, but
I
it
think
was
it's
not
still
so kind
more
words.
along the lines of, again, we're paying you all this. We got you for the
Listen, we're doing the defense is doing their part.
Yeah,
You're
You're
what are you
supposed to
doing?
be the savior that's supposed to come and
Yeah.
and bring us somewhere. Start riding.
But
Let's ride right now. You're riding the bench, homie.
let's ride the bench. There you go.
maybe that's it.
I
There's the
think
bench. Start riding.
I think they need to make a quarterback change.
Right?
Maybe spice some things up. Put someone else in there. Give them a shot.
Yeah, who knows? But
I mean,
so
yeah.
I got the Kansas City Chiefs in this one.
Do
I know
you?
you probably
This is pretty
want
tough.
The Denver Broncos in this one, but no, I think Chiefs feel like they got a little blood in their mouth a little bit, because again, Travis Kelce, he will crush that he let that fumble go, but that's not even like a real fumble. Like, he's holding on for dear life, and I forget who the defender was again that just hole in there. They're just tugging, ripping the whole way with him, and finally it just rips out.
Yep.
And he felt so bad because that was the change of point of the game, really.
Definitely
that
was.
turned the point of the game in that one. So I think they feel like they let each other down. They want to do better, and they're going to come back with a win here.
I mean, it's the easiest opponent to have to come back with a
Exactly,
win. So
right.
I'm
What a
going to go
good-
with
good
Kansas
rebound,
City in
right?
this.
Everybody likes a good rebound.
Great rebound game for them. I'm going Kansas City as well.
Oh,
Denver doesn't get much better, and who knows? Maybe Russell Wilson. Maybe he's the most expensive water boy they have.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they should get the water boy at this point or something like that. They
Where's
should
Bobby
get,
Boucher at?
Yeah,
Maybe he could change it.
Yeah. Maybe he could play both roles from that and the longest yard, and he could play, Crew or something like that too.
Paul Crew.
Paul Crew at the quarterback position too. Why not for him? Hey, that would be better.
Or Shane Falco.
Yeah,
from the replacements.
Yeah.
Wasn't bad.
Keanu Reeves. Yeah. All right. Next, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the San Francisco 49ers. Again, I think a lot of people really
pick.
wanted to see this matchup with
really
the
tough.
49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo versus Tom Brady now too.
It's a really tough
You know,
pick. That's all I can say.
The two different bays, too. Again, fighting San Francisco at home, though. Again, that place gets crazy. Tampa Bay just looks like a shell of their former self, or just discombobulated. A lot on defense, just letting a lot through, and then that offense just miscues, and the inability to run. Even with what happened there with Leonard Fournette and stuff in the run game, couldn't really get a whole lot going with that, and they
It's
don't really
weird.
do it. They don't even run a lot. They just pass a lot too.
They do,
so I've
but
realized.
it's weird. They're definitely getting Rashad White more involved, and it's
Yeah,
fine
yeah.
to do that, but when you need some plays to happen, and I feel like that's why they've been running, or not running a lot. I feel like that's what they need to get back to.
Yeah.
is because early in that game against the Saints, Leonard Fournette was running. He was getting yards, 4 yards here, 3 yards there, 5 yards. If they kind of kept with that kind of same format, I feel like they were going to have a much better game, get into the red zone a lot more often, and then you can kind of go from there. But it seemed like they leave the running game way too early all the time, and that's kind of where Tom Brady gets pressured a lot because the O-line can't protect as well as you'd like them to, and it leads to a lot of 3-and-outs real quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to hit this game. I think this is going to be a tough game too, but I like San Francisco's defense in this one to overtake the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So I would say that there's a pretty good chance that the San Francisco 49ers come out with
I
a
would
win.
say that I would just take the Niners defense only. I don't think the Niners need an offense.
No.
I would just say, here, Tom, we're going to give you
that.
every opportunity throughout the whole game, and you just have to play against the Niners defense. Good luck.
Yeah.
That's all you have to say, because good luck blocking, first of all, the D-line of that Niners team. And then, let alone, I think they got the best linebacking core in the league. They are truly tremendous. And then they have a safety that I didn't even know about, that somehow they discovered him. And I can't even remember his name. It's a crazy name, like a Samoan name or Hawaiian name, Halafunga or something like that.
Yeah.
He's been killing it in the back end of the secondary. So don't throw his way, because guess what, Tom? As inaccurate as you are, you're going to end up throwing it right to him. So I got the Niners all day long. I don't think the Buccaneers I don't think they stand a chance, really. And I think that the Buccaneers defense right now is obviously, I think they're playing better than the Buccaneers offense. But what we're not able to see it because the Buccaneers can't put points on the board. Their defense is being put on the field over and over and over and over, and they just get tired by the end of the game.
All right, next we've got the Carolina Panthers and the
This
Seattle
is it.
Seahawks. This is going to
This
be a
could
close
be
game.
the one.
Well,
This
who
could
knows?
be exciting.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
can't wait for this game,
We'll
to be
see.
honest.
Surely.
I'm
it could
excited.
be. Yeah, Sam Darnold's bringing new light to the Carolina Panthers here, but again, Seattle rolling, and Seattle at home again. I really like their chances the way they've been playing, and I like the weapons that they have. I'm gonna stick with Seattle in this one.
Seattle's got a lot of injuries, a lot of key injuries coming up this week. Got to see how they all kind of work themselves out. But other than that, Seattle is very tough to play at home. Carolina, though, Carolina's got they got a new fresh scent now. They're not as smelly and
fresh
trashy
scent.
as they used to be.
Fresh
Sam
scent by
Sam
Panthers.
Darnold comes in his
Scent
first
Panther.
week as a starting quarterback, lit it up. Actually, that offense looked a lot better, now that they have Sam Darnold back. So I think that's still, I will actually be shocked. I'll be amazed if Carolina can pull off a win here, because it is not only in a hostile environment, but they got to go all the way up northwest and play in that. Who knows? It could be raining by then. But Seattle, I got Seattle at home getting the win, but this would be a big statement game for Carolina and their offense if they can pull it out.
Just do it!
All right, next we've got, here we go, the Sunday night game, the Miami Dolphins
Sunday night
at the
game.
Los Angeles Chargers.
And they Chargers.
Chargers, again, let me down last week. Again, I thought they would be able to do some more
'Cause
here
they
with their
suck.
offense. Couldn't get it going, and it was weird what they were doing. Again, I wanted to see more Austin Eckler and just mix it up a little bit, but just couldn't get it done.
The funny thing is, you bring that up, Austin Eckler. Everybody wants to see more Austin Eckler. Of course you do, but they don't run.
No.
They stopped running. They don't run that much. They said they are one of the top teams in the league that throw way more.
Yeah, way
It's not even like it's not even 60-40. It's like 70-30. Like
Yeah.
way more just passing all the time.
Yeah.
And going for it obviously on fourth down
Obviously,
conversions.
Yeah.
So it's like that's really not a good recipe.
That doesn't
to kinda,
mix it up, especially when you have a porous offensive line due to injuries and things like that too, as well.
when you
So, I
can
mean,
last week when they were coming into the game, they started rookie tackle Slayer. I think this is how you say it. Rookie tackle playing up against Chandler Jones, a veteran. Chandler Jones just mollywopped him, and it had 3 sacks in that game. Now that is the Chandler Jones that the Raiders thought they were getting.
yeah.
But let's be honest, he played a rookie tackle who was kind of in over his head, and that's why he had what he had. So, but for the Chargers coming into this week, they're a kind of a beat up team now, and as much praise as Justin Herbert was getting in the beginning of the year, I think people need to start paying attention to just how he's executing, or I should say, not executing, because he doesn't look the same that he was in the beginning of the year to now. It looks like things are starting to catch up with him. And when you look at this offense for the Chargers, because you're being one-dimensional basically by yourself, when you have these incomplete throws and you have these drops, they had a couple drops in that game as well, it ends up making you get to fourth down very
Just
quickly.
Quickly. Yes.
So hopefully.
And it doesn't manage your time
And-
well either, especially for your defense.
Right, and that's the thing is, there all of a sudden defense is right back out there right away again. But I would say this: we talked about this briefly about the coaching staff and like how much leeway will this head coach get or the coordinators get for calling the plays that they're calling going forward? Because yes, he's kind of new. Yes, they have a good team. They do well early on, but now down the stretch, it's not looking so hot. So at what point is it this year and then maybe you start thinking about firing, or do you wait till next year and see how next year goes? So something's going to have to be done in the front office. There's got to be discussions happening right now about this, like how much longer are they going to go and not say nothing until they're going to have to come down with the hammer. But I'll go over to the Dolphins now. Dolphins, I like what they're doing. I mean, they're one of those teams not like the Chargers.
Yeah.
They're a team that is very creative in their offense. They're getting the ball to Tyreek Hill. They're getting the ball to Jalen Waddle. They're running the ball. They're doing a lot of different things all the time, whether it be RPOs, just straight up handoffs, throwing the football. And Tua looks really good. So as long as this team, like we said before in the beginning of the year, if they can stay healthy, who knows? The sky's the limit for them.
Right.
They look really good. They were competitive against the Niners last week.
Niners, yeah.
And I didn't think it was going to be that close. I didn't think they were going to put up points like that in the beginning, but they did. So I think Miami coming into L.A., which when you go to L.A., you're always home. So Dolphins get the home game against the Chargers.
I hear you there too, and it's funny too. Like once Miami and Tua hits that adversity that he met last week with that 49ers defense, instantly you got the haters out there. Like, he's just not the guy. Look at him. He just looks terrible. And again, you knew it was going to be a closer game, but you're happy for what they did, and it was just a better defensive team. Again, when you got those weapons on offense and you got the defense wins every single time. We saw it in multiple Super Bowls and things like that. Number one defense versus number one offense.
My thing is, how can you be disappointed with the Dolphins?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
I mean, they played probably one of the best, if not the best, D-line in the league. And you don't have one of the best O-lines in the league. You got a good one.
Yeah.
But when you're facing Nick Bosa every single snap, and you're facing Amik Armstead every single snap.
I think people will try to add to it, especially media, when they throw it on there. When the other quarterback on the other side is Brock Purdy, this is what they're trying to Brock Purdy beat. Come on.
No,
it isn't
actually the
that.
Niners. It's a team.
It's a team.
Yeah.
Team sport. You guys forget that. It isn't this quarterback versus that quarterback all the time.
You gotta love the matchups that they say, like, Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers this week.
He's got him every single week.
I mean the Buccaneers and the Packers, because it's not just those two guys playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Monday Night Football.
We've got the Patriots are back. And you talked about with White, his ability with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It sparked something in me that I was watching New England when they played. Again, because I picked them to win, and they almost were there again, too, and just couldn't get it. But
yeah, it was close.
I was watching, and I think, one thing they kind of are missing that just they don't have anymore, that guy that was that James White. With his retirement, not having that guy that they relied on, that other running back like him and his style, being able to do a little bit of everything in the passing game too. Not having him, because again, the injury to Damian Harris, and now you just got Stevenson back there. Not having a James White right there, I think is a little tough for them right now too. If they had him in that game, a player like him, that would have been nice. I think, and I think they miss a guy like that, or maybe a Deion Lewis.
I think they have it. I think they have those personnel guys, but they like those top two backs that they have. Obviously, Harris isn't available, but Ramondre Stevenson is definitely more than capable to do that for them. He's a little bit different. He's not as much of a scat back as James White was, but I think he's more than capable to do that. And I just think that if they utilize him a little bit more in the passing game, teams will have to respect that, because we've seen it in limited fashion, but just not as pronounced as it probably should be. Go back to that.
Two other points about the Patriots too.
Great defense.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, playing great. Mac Jones now. Again, getting more vocal with everybody.
Oh,
too.
my God.
Getting angry, but really taking command of that and just being making guys accountable. And where is Jonnu Smith? You know what I mean? Again, you bring this guy on for the contract that he got too with this team. The 2 tight ends you saw, you had him, Hunter Henry too. Okay.
Yeah.
And dude, he's not even involved in the. He's like a glorified blocker, just out there.
You want to know why? I'll give you the answer.
What is it?
Matt Patricia.
There you go.
It's that simple. Think about it. When Josh McDaniels was there a year ago, and he had those tight ends, how often they went quite often to the tight ends. Whether it be Hunter Henry or Jonnu Smith, they definitely attacked using those tight ends and the other receivers. You know what I mean? So now what's changed? Offensive coordinator. Matt Patricia's calling the plays. And that's why you see the frustration from Mac Jones when he comes off the sideline. He said, your effing plays suck. That's what he said. He screamed it at him. So he definitely heard it.
Yeah.
And when you have a second-year quarterback yelling at your offensive coordinator and saying, your fucking plays suck, Just saying, like, that's the problem with this offense for the Patriots. It's not the players. It's not the personnel. It's the play calling is terrible. It really is. So, I mean, that's where the blame has to be pointed because it's not like Mac Jones all of a sudden regressed and says, oh, well, I forgot how to play quarterback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Matt Patricia is the problem in New England right now. And I think I know Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft and team meetings and what have you. This is kind of they made this decision to stick with this guy, or whether it be Joe Judge calling the plays or Matt Patricia. Both guys are defensive minded, so I'm kind of confused why they would just give up play calling duties to one of them. So I thought they should have brought in someone else. You know what I mean? Whether it be someone outside of the Patriots organization or maybe even a younger 30-year-old offensive-minded guy to come in and call the plays because this is not working. Something has to change right now for the Patriots in order for them to stay in this hunt. And it has to happen now. Until it does, I still see this New England team still kind of struggling on that side.
So what do you think about this matchup here?
It's a great matchup, by the way.
We grabbed up much about New England again. What I've noticed, last week and moving forward, Arizona, they've been lackluster too. And it's funny, Joe, just because in the media that we are part of, obviously in the searches and the things that we do and the preparation that we put into the show and stuff, I am constantly getting bombarded with Arizona affiliates clamoring for not only Cliff Kingsbury's job, but Klein too as well. The GM, they want the GM out now. Yeah, Keim, they want him out too. So it's every week I'm getting a different article about how they suck and they want these guys gone. It is amazing for a franchise again who looked like they were kind of up and coming. Got this guy, the quarterback's tied to the coach, the coach. But then now you're hearing again. I think Patrick Peterson was just on a podcast too, and then he talked about
complained about
Kyler Murray again. Yeah, he's
how he's saying
selfish.
He's a very selfish
person too. Yeah. So a lot of things, and then Kyler Murray comes back. But a lot of things about him. The thing in the contract about him, maybe he is the problem. But now the affiliates really calling for Cliff Kingsbury's job here with when they're just a surprisingly losing season right now. And, now the GM.
I think it's laughable.
It's crazy.
Honestly,
but it's funny now, national media is not getting a whole lot about it, just around Arizona.
I think it's insane. Like, let me ask this. Okay. Nobody was complaining when they were on a 12-5 run. And this is with the same personnel. This is pretty much the same. They still had Hopkins. They still had AJ Green at the time. They still had Kyler Murray and all these guys, right? But they were healthier then, and they went 12-5. No one complained about that. Now that they're struggling, as soon as they struggle this season, well, that's it. We got to fire our coach. We got to get rid of our GM. Do you realize that what the good job that Steve Keim has done? The personnel he's brought. He pulled off the trade for Hopkins and gave up nothing. Gave up nothing for Hopkins. You bring in Kyler Murray, who adds that mobility element to kind of make your offense a little bit harder to stop. He's brought in trades better offensive linemen. Rodney Hudson coming over. DJ Humphries. He's locked him up at left tackle. He's done I feel like a tremendous job for the Cardinals. And Cliff Kingsbury, he's a good coach. Let's see where this goes when they're healthy. They're banged up right now. Half the offensive line is healthy. The defense is still a work in progress and still needs to get healthier. Budda Baker's been missing weeks. I could go on and on about this team. But I think it's ludicrous to think that right now, like, oh, we need to call for their heads and fire everybody and start over. I don't think that's the right decision. Just because this year you're not where you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And it says, for some reason, again, it's not, maybe you didn't allow access to your name or whatever. It says Facebook user, but I think it might be Mike Tackett, but it might not be.
What's it say?
Again, but it says Happy Wednesday, guys. He says that a lot, but if it's not, let us know who you are out there.
That's right.
I think after
going on?
he goes, I think after Cliff Kingsbury gets fired, he'll be a decent OC. So he's even talking about it right here and saying that same thing right here. See, this is the only other person I've seen in a comment.
I honestly can't see it.
That people are going to fire.
I think
him,
it would be a bad decision if the Cardinals front office did this, because
it's a different look though too. Because again, it seems like all fingers have been pointed towards your quarterback and his work ethic and other things that he's done. See, it is Mike Tackett. It is. Oh, Mike Tackett. I thought so. Boom. I know you. See, but yeah, Kingsbury. It's all been pointed towards like the Kyler Murray issue maybe too. Not exactly Cliff Kingsbury, and now they're the ones that possibly could take the fall on this whole thing.
Yeah,
and again,
for
me again, I look at the Cardinals when we started talking about them last week or last year. I thought they were kind of like the same way the Cincinnati Bengals were. I think they were moving in the right direction, but they kind of hit prematurely. And then now the fact that they took a step back, everybody's looking to be like, well, what the hell happened? No, this is not right then. When I thought like last year, they just hit it prematurely. And now the fact that they've had certain, things happen to them, just have some bumps in the road and can't get it going.
So let's call it what it is, right? So you look at last year, they finished with an 11-6 record. That deserves them to be fired, right? You know what I mean? And then you come in, and then the year prior to that, let me pull it up real quick. Your year prior to that, they were 500. They were 8-8. That was before the extra game, so they were 500. If you're so the last 2 seasons, you were 500 or better. You're 8-8. You're 11-6. I'll take it back even further than that. Let's go to 2019.
When does that usually call for somebody to be fired? But
my thing is people are quick to jump the gun. Now, before that, they were terrible. They were 5-10-1, and they didn't have defense. They didn't have. This team has been growing right now.
Yeah.
So you look
Why
at.
do you want to stop that right now?
You look at you look at the projection for the Cardinals. It's going up. Yes, they're having a bad year right now. But when you go 8-8, you know what I mean? Then you go 11-6 last year, and then now, okay, you're having a downturn in a year. Does that mean that you just say, we're going to wipe the slate clean, go try to find a new head coach, go try to find a new staff, go get a new GM, let's just start over because it's not working? It's 1 year. I think, Cardinals fans, they've had multiple years where they've been sitting as fans, and they just already know that their team's going to lose. Their team has been pretty bad before. So they should know that, you know what? We've had some success. Yes, we're not where we want to be this year. We thought we would be even better. We thought we'd have 12, 13, 14 wins, whatever. But you don't. You're just having a bad year. Let's see what this team can do going forward. Because you got to remember, this team is not complete.
Yeah.
They're heavily injured right now. And then defensively, they're still building that defense up, too.
Yeah, I know. And it's just... maybe there's not. They are in the desert, Joe. So maybe there's not a whole lot going on. So maybe that is all they have is their football team. So, but Mike Tackett, I want to wonder what you think. I mean, is that your true opinion, and why? Why will Cliff Kingsbury get fired? Do you think it is just the fans, media calling for his head, or is there a reason that you really think that he is going to get fired?
I'll give you an example right now. Everybody was calling for the head of Josh McDaniels this year. His first year.
Yeah.
Implementing a very complex offense, and then Patrick Graham implementing kind of like a complex defense. And because of their struggles, they're like, oh, these guys are no good. We're never going to win with these guys. They're not doing anything the right way. The players are so confused. What are we doing? What did you expect? Did you expect those guys to come in and be like, all of a sudden, hey, we got the Patriots offense and it's clicking like that?
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
No, I hear you. And the thing is, a lot of things now, everybody's just quick to jump on it and make a thing and change. If they're not happy, they want to voice their opinion and just make a thing happen for it.
All hot take.
Yeah, and then fans overreaction. You see the way they are on Twitter and Facebook, ready to bring somebody down and all this other crap, and what they do, cancel culture, all that other bullshit.
I gotta say, despite your 4-8 record right now, you're in the NFC. You have a shot to come back. If you can go on a run, a little bit of a run, maybe lose only 1 to 2 games the rest of the way.
Yeah, and depending on what you do,
just maybe,
last couple, absolutely. So, but yeah, Mike Tackett, let us know what you think there. But here we are. We're at Monday night's game. By the way, again, the picks. I like that you've been tracking your picks along with us.
Yes.
Unfortunately, you haven't been doing well. You're trying to make a comeback, but we don't make it easy for you, though. We don't make it easy for him. Like, Joe just lost Monday night's game. That was his only loss this week.
It sucked.
It was crazy. I had 2, so I mean, it was rough. It was rough. So, but we
needed the Saints to pull through.
But yeah, this is what we've been able to do. So it's tough, but we're pulling for you, Mike. Though we really appreciate it. Your interaction with everything too. But we got the Patriots in Arizona now. After all that said, we kind of just spilled our hearts out about the Patriots and the Arizona Cardinals and went off in different tangents here. But I think it all needed to be said.
It did.
Who do you think wins this game?
Nobody.
No,
it goes to a tie.
Another tie.
It's gonna be a tie. Here's the thing, that this is kind of where I'm at with both teams. The Patriots, I can't stand the play calling. The defense is amazing. Like that's really what's keeping the Patriots in a lot of these games. It's just the defense and how well they've been able to play. The Cardinals, on the other hand, it's been inconsistent play from Kyler Murray. The injuries to that offensive line is really hurting this team offensively, and defensively, they're just not complete yet. They've been missing Budda Baker for a little bit of time now, who's kind of like that captain, that defensive captain, the guy that gets everybody lined up in the right spot. And they're just not there yet. They're not healthy. So they are home, which kind of gives them a slight advantage. At least they don't got to travel to New England. But I'm gonna say, because they're home, I'm gonna go with Arizona on this one.
All right, here we go. He's going with the Arizona Cardinals. I'm gonna say, just because the way New England showed against the Buffalo team, though, because they were still in that game, I think, bringing it down close, and they had a chance to still win. Despite the inadequacies that they've had here on offense and stuff, I think they have enough to beat this Arizona Cardinals team, which is up and down to me. They're a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of team here with me. It would be nice to see them finally get this crap together. But I think I'm going to go with the Patriots on this one. Why not? Let's make it saucy here. We have too many team games here that are all the same here, Joe. Let's see what happens. All right, Mike Tackett, he says, do you guys watch HBO Hard Knocks, a season with the Arizona Cardinals?
No.
He's losing the locker room. When the culture becomes toxic, a change is needed. That or win more. Yeah, unfortunately, Mike Tackett, I am cheap, so that's one. I don't, so I will not pay for HBO. 2, I don't watch a lot of TV. I don't watch a lot of TV either. So I mean, and to watch HBO and shows, it's tough. I wouldn't mind it. Like if I somehow was at somebody else's house and they had it on, I would probably watch it because it's football related too.
Yeah.
And 3, probably the only thing I do watch is football. Besides, anything. I don't watch a lot of TV, just football. I think that's all I do. It's pretty lonely, I think, at times. But yeah, so I haven't been able to see it. I think when you watch a show like that, and you do get to see that behind the scenes. So, but maybe it's dramatized though, too, because they're trying to build that up too on top of it. Because they paint a narrative.
A lot of times, the Cardinals, any team that is on Hard Knocks, they allow or disallow footage to be shown. They have right to refusal. So if you're seeing something and it might be like an argument with Cliff Kingsbury and a couple players or something like that, they might have just put that in there just so you would think like, oh, he's lost this locker room. It's done. He's going to be sent out. He's fired. Like,
people won't watch if there isn't drama.
Right. You know. It's very dramatic driven, and that's why, like, it's funny because now that you mention that, Mike, I remember watching the Raiders Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
And I was watching them, and We didn't see anything like that. And that was when the Raiders they weren't very good. And they were on Hard Knocks, and it's like, okay, it's cool to see behind the scenes, like kind of see like how they get the equipment together and stuff like that and traveling and what have you. But the Raiders were very, very hush-hush on certain things. They wouldn't allow them into certain meetings and that what have you. So the teams do dictate what is allowed to be shown. So I wonder if that was kind of just a thing to create that dramatic feel and trying to get some people to jump on that narrative. Because honestly, teams don't give a shit what the media does. They really don't. They don't care what the feeling is. They don't even care what the fans think. Like, honestly, they're going to handle their business the way they deem worthy. And if by chance Cliff Kingsbury is starting to lose the locker room, I don't think it's really losing the locker room. I think it's more frustration of not winning. I think that's really all it is. I wouldn't say he's losing relationships or something like that, because it's never fun to lose. It's just not. I've seen a clip of Buda Baker.
Yeah, Buda Baker saying tired of losing.
Like tearing up,
Yeah.
yelling and saying, I'm sick and tired of losing. We need to start winning. We need to turn this thing around. Blah. Kind of preaching to his teammates. I feel like it's coming more from a frustration of continually losing, knowing that team is better than that. So I don't think that his job is in jeopardy as much as everybody else believes, or Steve Keim. I think they've both done a good job, and I think it's deserving of another year. Now, if you want to fast forward this thing to next year and they have yet another bad year, now I feel like that's when you got 2 years of not performing, and now it's time to have that discussion.
Reality is often disappointing.
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing is, with reality shows, a lot of time it isn't really the true reality of things.
True.
But it is getting bad, Joe. I'm like, they're already doing like top 5 lists of coaching candidates and stuff like that. So I'm going to have to read this stuff. It is pretty crazy. And the way the media is. It's fan-sided too, and our
That's
guys
terrible.
out there. So maybe we'll bring Russell Baxter on one of these times and talk to him about some of the stuff that goes
Russell,
on.
why'd you write
Russ,
that about him?
Why'd you write that, dude? What are you doing? We haven't talked to him in a while, but we love talking to you know-it-alls out there, and Joe says it all the time, but I think it's going to be my turn this time, because I'm going to tell you guys to go to YouTube.
Here we go.
Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, too, to let you know whenever we go live there on YouTube. We need some more subscribers there. We want to grow this family here for YouTube. Yes, we originated here on Facebook, but we're building our family bigger and bigger and bigger. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music, too, so you can take us on the go. That's the whole point of it all. Things are moving big for us, and we're making a lot of changes. We got new banners too. We're going to be out in live shows doing that stuff too, with our banners flying high. Things with the media company are building. We're going to let you guys know.
He's got the picks in.
So here we go. Mike Tackett's picks here are in. He's 7-6-1 last week. Yeah, that's rough, man. It's tough to come back at us this one. He's currently 102, 88-2 here, and
we might. You know what? I was thinking about
sure,
this.
what?
We might have to have Mike guest appear on the show when we do a drinking
do this
show.
drink show.
Yeah.
So because you know one thing they say, never drink alone, and there's always
Yes.
somebody that drinks alone here.
Yes.
And maybe we do bring them on. Maybe we'll do a Zoom meeting type of thing, or a StreamYard,
Maybe.
or something. But here's our records right now, Joe, or Mike Tackett. So there you are. There we are. Nathaniel McWhirt's in the house with us tonight, Joe.
there he
Holy
is.
moly, there he is.
What's going on, Nathaniel?
Boom.
Welcome
He's got
back
to rub
to
it
the
in.
show,
He's got to rub it
baby.
in here, throw some
Welcome
dirt on
back to the show.
on Mike Tackett. Look at that. Holy crap. Look
Like
at that.
it.
He's throwing shade. Yeah, I went 13-2. Yeah, I went 13-2. Also, Joe went 14-1-1.
Should have been.
Yep, he was there.
undefeated,
So, yeah, he forgot the Bucks game in your total. Yeah, I saw that too. Because he posted early and he's like, does he? I'm thinking to myself, does he realize that we still have a Monday night game to play yet? Still, but there he goes, 103, 88-2. Yeah. So keeping it going. Maybe you can fight back, Joe or Mike. We've seen it happen before, but yeah, maybe you join in on our drinking night show. So that would be a lot of fun.
It would be fun.
Yeah, it would be. We always like to have fun with you guys out there. Nathaniel, definitely too out there.
Yes. Thank you, everybody out there. Thank our sponsors. You guys have been amazing. It helps us allow us to do what we do.
Yeah.
Thanks all the know-it-alls out there.
Done a lot of
And
jersey giveaways.
If you're
and stuff.
not a know-it-all yet, do us a huge favor. Head over to YouTube. Search us up, Football on the No Show. Click that subscribe button. And also, hit that notification bell to let you guys know when we go live. And also, don't forget, if you can't be home and watch us on YouTube or can't watch us at work, you can also pop us in the little iPods or what have you and listen to us on Spotify and iTunes, anywhere you get your podcasts. Hit that follow button. Bring us along on your journey.
Boom, we got Chris Rodriguez in the house with us.
There he is, Chris. Chiming in last second.
Last second, he says, go Pats. So here we go.
What's going on, Chris?
We got
Welcome to the
him out
show,
there.
bro.
He's a Patriots fan. He thinks the Pats can get it done.
Go Pats.
Nathaniel says the Chargers game and then the tie. And so you count that as a loss. So is that what you're saying then? So you said 13-2. So he counts it as loss. And that's one thing before we head out. Let's throw that as a question quick.
Okay.
I think it was Jacob Bush, I think it was. I know Mike Tackett could let
One
me
of
know.
our know-it-alls,
One
yeah.
of the guys out there, too,
Yep.
had said he does a pick'em league.
Yep.
And he says there are no ties. There are no ties. It's pick 'em. You win. You win. You win. If you get a tie, you still won because there was no loser.
Okay.
But we do it just because, again, it was a tie. So both of us, won, but you tied. You got that one
got
time.
tied.
Like both of us picked the Washington Commanders this time.
Yep.
So we both won that kind of still because we had a tie. But one time I picked a different team than what you picked. And it was a tie. So technically that's a tie still. It wasn't like you won and then I won.
Yeah.
So we just count it as a tie.
Yeah.
And that's the way even ESPN analysts and NFL analysts too. So when they do their records, we try and match ours to theirs too, because we track that too. And right now we are second in the standings again, Joe, too. You're
Not a
second. I'm
surprise.
third against ESPN. So and we're up there again. So, see, and Nathaniel counts it as ties as games that he got wrong. So that's different, too. So what do you think out there? What do you think the ties are? You think they're just a tie like what we're doing? Or
I mean,
would you count them as a win?
It's personal preference, really.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people might deem it as a loss, but how could you deem it as a loss? Because technically,
you didn't
lose anything.
No. I mean,
whether you're picking like the Washington or New York. They both tied.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, even if me and Jimmy say, okay, we were on opposite ends on that game, is it a loss? No. It's not a loss for him or a loss for me or a loss for both. Nobody lost.
Yeah,
it was a
nobody lost
tie.
anything.
So for me, it's either got to be counted as a tie, just like the standings in the NFL are, or
Right.
you both get a win.
It's
like a wash.
Yeah.
So, like, for us, like, we just kind of say, oh, it's a tie. That's it. As it is what it is. And it's not a win. And it's not a loss.
Yeah, and technically it doesn't change our records anyway.
But
if you give
but
us
that's what I'm
both
saying.
wins, it doesn't change our drinking record
Yeah,
or
no.
anything like that.
But
So
like
it
that's
still
what I'm
stays
saying.
out.
Like I think it's more based on preference, really.
Yeah.
Like some people might visualize or might have the idea like, oh well, if it's a tie, you didn't win, so I count that as a loss, or vice versa.
Right. And Nathaniel, he must just think of it as like, oh man, I let myself down because I didn't get it
Nathaniel.
right. But you didn't. Think positive.
Nathaniel, you didn't fail. You tied.
You did not fail.
You're fine.
a winner with us. So there you go. There's another one. So that's it for us tonight. I hope you guys had fun. It stinks so some of you guys join in later with us. But again, we are a podcast, so you can listen to us anywhere on Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff, or rewatch the video too on YouTube.
We are the most
So-
interactive NFL talk show, and we are here to prove it.
Hashtag know it all.
Anyway,
Drop the
excited.
comments down just like you did. See, we'll give you a shout out. We'll respond to your answers or opinions. That's what this is about. Let's go.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys next week then.
Join us next week from 8 till 10 Wednesday night for more Football on the Know with Jim and Joe.